youth are a voice of a nation.
What is the next step for the young people?
Unpacking political landscape from Monday to Wednesday.
We discuss family matters.
It is very important to guard your relationship.
And for your health.
Someone doesn't wake up and they become an addict. It's in stages.
We've got you covered each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Every Wednesday, it's all about the viewpoint.
A day in politics is like 1,000 years.
Unpacking the biggest stories of the week, getting you insights and getting you ready for your day.
And the package is not yet done. I get to fix your Thursday with some entertainment. Entertainment Thursday, it is.
Good morning, Kenya.
We shape your day.
Good morning, Kenya. Every weekday morning on KBC Channel 1. Want to enjoy free-to-air digital TV with crystal clear quality? Here's how to get started with Signet. Step 1. If you have a smart TV, you're good to go. Next, connect the aerial to your TV. Now, do an auto search on your TV. Just follow the prompts on the screen. And that's it. You're now tuned in to Signet. Sit back and enjoy a wide range of free-to-air digital channels. For technical inquiries, call the Signet hotline on 0770 572 656.
The 19th of January 2026. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. This is KBC Channel 1. Thank you for tuning in to this Good Morning Kenya program, and we are glad that you are watching. A lot has happened within the weekend, including the ODM upheavals, where Winnie Odinga, that is the daughter to the late Honorable Raila Odinga, says she will push for the National Delegates Conference to decide the leadership of ODM party going forward to 2027. And also, she also affirmed her support for Secretary General, that is Edwin Sifuna and Babu Owino, who some of the people within ODM are calling for their removal. That is an upheaval that has put ODM on the spot regarding matters to do with leadership. And also remember that the ODM also did open the doors for pre-election talks with the UDA. As that develops, we shall be keeping tabs on it and letting you know accordingly. Also, weekend also, the Ugandan president, that is Yoweri Museveni, won the elections that were conducted on the 15th of this month, and he won with 72% of the votes cast. He has been in power since 1986, so this is like his 7th term in power. Yeah, so that happened, and a lot more, and rest assured you will be kept abreast with everything that is happening. Not alone, I am with the team here. Good morning, Vivian. Good morning, Giverson.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Mike.
A very good morning to each and every one of you who is tuned in on the show this morning. If you're supposed to be at work by this time, are you already at work? You know, I feel like today's Monday is really Monday, and it's all because of the African Cup of Nations.
Yes.
You know, that was finalized this morning, actually, in the wee hours of the morning, I think around. The game was ending almost at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So that was a good game. I don't know which side you were on, but I am so sure that most of us were supporting Senegal. And Senegal eventually won, and they are the African champions when it comes to football. That was a really, really, really good game. And yeah, congratulations to them. And there's also another conversation around African Cup of Nations. There is an Ivorian journalist who spoke ill
yes,
of East Africa, and you know the fact that AFCON may be coming, or actually is coming to Kenya, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had made some comments saying that there are no good roads around East Africa, so he was just trying to wonder how that will look like. And Kenyans on Twitter, well, they did what they do best.
Yeah.
But I think, Vivian, I think the journalist had a point. And I think how I understood it is that he was saying, if, for example, you're traveling from Nairobi to Uganda, or maybe from Nairobi to Tanzania, how long would it take for you to reach maybe Kampala or even Dodoma or Dar es Salaam, for that matter?
Yeah.
The roads are not, I think he was not saying the roads are very bad, but I think he was saying the roads are not sufficient. They're not enough roads maybe to travel. Yeah, because there's traffic. If you look at Nairobi to Uganda, it's just it's not a one way. It's not dual road.
Yeah.
So how long would you take if maybe you found a lot of traffic in Naivasha?
Well,
you won't probably watch the game in Tanzania or Uganda.
Well, that is agreed, you know. That's actually, if you look at it from that point of view, it's actually sort of true, yeah. But, well, there are aeroplanes, and it only takes a few hours to get to Uganda or Tanzania by air. So
but
there's
I think
that too.
I think he was comparing Morocco with Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And of course, we can't be compared, because I think Morocco is so much far ahead of either Kenya, Tanzania, or Uganda. They're they're so far away.
Okay, we take it. Anyway, there's that, and then there's what Mike has also mentioned. There seems to be a clear generational tiff in ODM, and I don't know how that will turn out to be eventually, but well, we'll be keeping tabs on that. Today being a Monday, we talk matters family right here on Good Morning Kenya, and our conversation today will be on social media relationships, rather social media's impact on relationships. What impact does social media have when it comes to relationships in today's world? We'll be having that conversation with Nelly Mutai, who's a multimedia creative and actress, and then we'll also have William Deche Mochiru, who is a psychologist. You definitely want to stay tuned for that. Give us one.
No, thank you, Vivian and Mike on the other side of the studio. Now it's time to go to news. My name is Giverson Minor, and now let's start with politics. Now, the Orange Democratic Movement is headed for a political shakeup if Yala MP Winnie Odinga's pronouncement is anything to go by. Now, speaking at Kamukunji grounds in Kibra constituency, Winnie Odinga says she will push for the convening of a National Delegates Convention, that is NDC meeting, for party members, which will then decide on the party leadership ahead of the 2027 polls. Now, as Abdiaziz Hashim now reports, Winnie has affirmed her support for ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and Embakasi East MP Babu Owino, despite a section of the party leadership calling for their removal.
Winnie Odinga and Raila Odinga Jr. on a Sunday pitched tent in Kibra constituency. They were here to engage their long-time supporters on the direction the party should take ahead of the 2027 polls.
Vitisho vya peni mbili vitanifanya mimi nini? Amnitishi, amnibabaishi. Na sasa tunaona si kila mtu miongoni mwetu who believed in Baba. Wengine walikuwa wakimtumia tu. Wamesahau kazi ya uongozi.
It is here where the Yala Member of Parliament Winnie Odinga hinted at a possible shake-up of the party leadership structure of the Orange Democratic Movement ODM in the coming months.
Na kuna siku moja tuliamka na tukashtuka. Dereva amekufa. Aliaga dunia. Kidogo kidogo wale walikuwa na keti mbele wamekimbia kwenye steering wheel, kila mtu anavuruta pande hii, mtu mwingine pande hii, pande hii, pande hii. Wamesahau. Na vile tunasema hapa leo, ngojeni. Baba alikufa juzi tu. Tulieni. Haraka ya nini bwana? Sisi kama familia tuko kwenye faction hili ama kundi ile ama sijui nini. Sisi ni team Baba.
Speaking at Kamkunji grounds in Kibra constituency, Winnie Odinga said she is pushing for the convening of a National Delegates Convention NDC meeting for the party members to form a solid leadership team ahead of the 2027 polls.
Kwa hivi karibuni, kwanza tuko na uchaguzi wa Nairobi. Ya pili, tuende hii NDC. Na kwenye hii NDC, mambo itakuwa noma. Hauwezi copy paste Baba. Huwezi copy paste the greatest leader Kenya has ever seen. Ati unabadilisha na huyu, ati sasa tuko na Baba. No, haiwezi kuwa hivyo. Baba hakuwa psychophant. Hakuna siku Baba aliwahi kutuambia kwamba ametuacha hapa ama wapi ama wapi. Hakuna siku. Na wale wanasema ati sijui Baba aliwaambia sijui nini. Hiyo ni kikosa adabu. Nyamazeni bwana.
Winnie has also affirmed her support for ODM-SG Edwin Sifuna and Embakasi Member of Parliament Babu Owino, despite a section of the party leadership calling for their removal.
Hakuna mtu atatolewa kwenye hii chama. Hakuna siku Baba aliwahi let anybody atoke kwenye hii chama. Wanaongea sana na tukiuliza maswali wanasema tutoke kwenye chama. Tukitoka watabaki na nani kwenye hii chama? Hii chama ni ya wananchi. Tukitoka wananchi wanaenda.
She at the same time took a swipe at the leaders of Kibra for what she termed as ignoring the locals' plight.
Watu wa Kibra hawana maji ama stima wiki 3 bana. Viongozi wameenda wapi? Wanaranda sawa, waendelee kuranda tu.
Meanwhile, ODM leader Oburu Odinga's tour of Kakamega County was marred by simmering tensions as rival factions between Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya and Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza held separate delegates meetings in Kakamega. While downplaying the battle for leadership of the party in Kakamega County, Oburu, who attended both meetings, urged the delegates to support planned talks with UDA, stating that ODM will pursue a stronger and more equitable political engagement to secure its place in government ahead of the 2027 general election.
Tufuate njia ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba chama chetu in 2027 itakuwa ndani ya serikali. Hiyo tutahakikisha.
Na palipo wazee hapaharibiki nini? Jambo. Kwa hivyo hata ile maneno yote ambayo tuko nayo hapa kwa ground, mimi niko na uhakika hao wazee wakikaa chini hakuwezi haribika neno.
Chama sio NGO ya kusaidia watu na relief food na nini. Hiyo kaenda tafuta NGO. Chama ikitengenezwa inatafuta nini? Na unatafuta uongozi kwa njia yoyote. Ndio maana tukiongozwa na Dr. Uruburu, chama ikakaa ikasema tuungane na vyama vingine tutafute political power.
Technocrats from the Mount Kenya region working in President William Ruto's government have rallied the region to back his re-election bid on account of several development projects delivered to the region. Now led by Information, Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary William Kabogo, the leaders launched a scathing attack on former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, accusing him of pursuing what they allege is politics of revenge.
CS Kabogo claims the mountain is already enjoying tangible gains under the Kenya Kwanza administration. Gains he argued would be at risk if the region is misled by divisive politics. He claims Gachagua's one-term call demonstrates the lack of clarity in his vision for the region.
Beberu. Tangu beberu. Hakuna serikali imefanya maendeleo kupita hii ya Samoei Ruto. Ni kweli? Ni kweli?
Rais wa Kenya ako na ruksa kwa sababu tulimchagua kuota ndoto ya nchi ya Kenya. The president must have the freedom and must have the space to dream the national dream of where to take the country for the period tumempatia kazi.
Calling for political unity, Kabogo urged Mount Kenya residents to close ranks and speak with one voice to maximize development under the Kenya Kwanza government, calls backed by his water and irrigation counterpart, Eric Muga.
Nyinyi jameni, wacheni niwaambie, hauwezi kukuza giza na giza. Giza hufukuzwa na mwangaza. Tunaelewana? Njaa inafukuzwa na pesa mfukoni. Na ndio sababu Mheshimiwa Rais anapeana NYOTA, pesa ya NYOTA.
Lazima tushikamane na tushikane kama watu wa hapa nyumbani ambao tunajiita watu wa mlima. Sisi wale kutoka Meru, kutoka Embu, Tharaka Nithi, Kirinyaga, Nyeri, sisi wote ni watu wa moja. Umoja wetu ndio nguvu yetu.
Sisi hatuwezi kutoka kwa ile serikali tulistafuta, ile serikali tulisweat, ile serikali tulifikia bidii. Hatuwezi toka kwa hiyo serikali kwa sababu hapa ndipo watu wetu wanasaidika.
In Vihiga, Public Service CS Geoffrey Ruku led other government officials in calling on area residents to back the president's re-election bid.
Mheshimiwa Rais ametia bidii, Mheshimiwa Rais anajituma, Mheshimiwa Rais anawapenda, Mheshimiwa Rais amekuamua uchumi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Na mtu ambaye anatia bidii, anajituma, anakuamua uchumi, huyo ni mtu wa kushikilia jameni.
Ruku also criticized the former deputy president, accusing him of allegedly promoting ethnic chauvinism.
Alikuwa anang'ang'ana huko alisema one time. Watu ya mlima, watu ya Mbeere North wakamwambia hapa ni tu pa. Adili nini? Wakamwambia ni tu pa.
President William Ruto is set to officially launch the disbursement of startup capital to more than 10,500 young Kenyans from Nairobi, Kiambu and Kajiado counties under the government's NYOTA project today. The program targets vulnerable young people with little or no formal education as part of the government's strategy to address youth unemployment through entrepreneurship. Now, senior government officials led by State Department for MSMEs Development Principal Secretary Susan Mangeni toured the venue to assess preparedness for the disbursement, which will be one of the largest single-day rollouts under the project so far. Ben Chumba reports.
Senior officials from the State Department for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises carried out final inspections at Kasarani Stadium ahead of tomorrow's NYOTA project disbursement for the Nairobi cluster. The exercise will bring together beneficiaries from Nairobi, Kiambu and Kajiado, with more than 10,500 youths expected to receive startup capital.
For one to be eligible, you needed to be between 18 to 29 years and up to 35 years for persons with disability. And you must not have progressed beyond Form 4 level of education. You don't need to have gone even to school. We know we have so many young people who are not privileged even to step into a classroom. So this project was targeting them.
Each beneficiary is entitled to 50,000 shillings in startup capital released in phases. Tomorrow's disbursement will see beneficiaries receive 22,000 shillings, with 3,000 shillings placed into mandatory savings under the program.
Those will be coming here tomorrow are those ones that have at least attended 3 days of the 4-day mandatory training. There are those ones probably who come 1 day or 2 days, those ones are not qualified. But if you have attended 75% of the training session, then you're eligible for the disbursement of the startup capital.
Beyond the cash, the government says beneficiaries will undergo a 2-month mentorship program with mentors deployed at the grassroots to support business startup and expansion.
So we expect by the end of this program, the entire NYOTA project, in addition, from to the business support, is targeting to empower more than 820,000 young people through the entrepreneurship, through skilling, retooling, and also connecting them to job opportunities to industries.
By tomorrow, 29 counties will have benefited from the NYOTA project, with close to 59,000 youths already funded nationwide.
In terms of security, the arrangements are in place, and I want to assure all the beneficiaries who will be coming tomorrow that we provided the necessary security arrangements. We've mobilized the transport, logistics for all those coming from Nairobi and even those coming from the other counties. There is also the issue of the traffic, which I want to give an assurance that despite this function being held tomorrow, we'll ensure that there will be traffic flow along the Thika Superhighway. So rest assured that there will be no disruption in terms of traffic.
Now, away from that, a Form 3 student at Nalondo National School for Persons with Disabilities is appealing to well-wishers for urgent medical assistance after a rare and recurring health condition has affected his sight, speech, and even ability to eat. The family says timely medical intervention could save Timothy's life and allow him to continue pursuing his and live a normal life. The images you're about to see could be disturbing. Your discretion is advised.
19-year-old Timothy Nyongesa from Muyenga village in Bumula constituency is battling recurring facial abscesses that have severely deformed his face and affected his eyes, nostrils, mouth and throat. The condition has made it extremely difficult for him to eat and speak, with his parents saying the situation has worsened over time. Timothy, who is the seventh born in his family, first developed a swelling on his face at the age of 9. According to his father, John Nyongesa, the condition kept recurring despite multiple medical interventions.
Alisaliwa tu vizuri. Alifikisha karibu miaka 9 ndio akaanza kukonjeka. Kuna kitu yenye ilikuchia tu hapa. Yenye hatujaelewa vizuri ni nini. Kaanza tu kufura paka hiyo ndio sasa inasumbua paka wakati huu.
Apart from the facial condition, Timothy also suffered paralysis of the legs while still young and was taken to several health facilities for treatment.
Wakanimtuma mpeleke paka Kimilili nini Dreamland. Sasa wakamtengeneza miguu akarudi. Baadaye akaenda shule. Tena akapatikana na ugonjwa ingine.
His mother, Jantrix Nanjala Nyongesa, says Timothy was born healthy, but his condition deteriorated after he began experiencing paralysis and later developed facial abscesses while in class 7.
Alifikisha miaka 9 ugonjwa ikakuja tu kwa miguu. Akashindwa kutembea. Nikampeleka kwa daktari, daktari akasema mpeleke kwa hospitali wapime ni nini chenye imefanya huyu mtoto asitembee, sababu alikuwa anatembea tu mzuri.
Nanjala says the family managed to raise 700,000 shillings through a well-wisher to fund an initial surgery, but the condition recurred a year later. The family has since sold their properties and exhausted all other resources as they try to raise money for treatment.
Pato hiyo kitu vile tulirudi nyumbani ilikaa tu mwaka mmoja na tena inarudi. Nilikuwa hapo na plot tukauza hapa, tulikuwa na ng'ombe moja na ndama tukauza. Tukaunganisha pamoja. Akaenda akafanywa tena hiyo surgery tu hapo tu kwa uzo tena Eldoret Moi referral.
Naomba huyu jamaa wangu, naomba serikali ama wenye wanataka kumsaidia wanisaidie asome na awe na afya nzuri.
The principal of Nalondo National School for Persons with Disabilities, Walter Wabwere, confirmed that the student is undergoing severe health challenges that have affected his learning.
Kijana ambaye anapenda kusoma, yuko katika kidato cha 3 jinsi vile nilivyosema, na hali hii haimwezeshi kuwa na amani na kudurusu vitabu kusoma hata kidogo.
Despite the pain, Timothy says he loves being in school and dreams of completing his education so he can support his siblings. However, his worsening health condition now threatens to cut short his education. Timothy is appealing to well-wishers and organization of goodwill to help him raise funds for urgent surgery and medical care. To support the family, you can channel your contribution to Jantrix Nanjala Muyende, pay bill number 400200, account number 01102101958001.
And now let's get sporty for a moment now. CAF President Patrice Motsepe says Morocco's hosting of the Africa Cup of Nations has set new standards, but has dismissed concerns about East Africans' readiness to stage the 2027 tournament. He confirmed that Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda will host AFCON 2027 as planned, despite Morocco also being considered for the 2028 edition as part of its preparations for co-hosting the 2030 World Cup with Spain and Portugal. The three East African nations already jointly hosted last year's African Nations Championship, although it was postponed to allow more time for facility upgrades. AFCON 2027 will be the first in East Africa since Ethiopia in 1976, and will just be before the tournament shifts from a 2-year to a 4-year cycle.
I'm confident that the AFCON in Tanzania, Kenya and Uganda will be enormously successful. Will there be challenges? It's like the World Cup Qatar. You know, we are going now to Canada, America and Mexico.
I know that's where we end our news for now, but of course the next part of the show continues with Mike Migwi. But before I let you go, you of course know that we watched the finals of the AFCON until the wee hours of this morning, and the game actually ended at about 1 a.m. And of course, Senegal won. They beat Morocco by 1-0 in extra time. And this is because this is after a very dramatic show. And of course, if you really watched, or if you haven't, or if maybe you're about to go and watch that game, because I think if you didn't, you need to rewatch that part where actually Senegal walked out to the dressing room. Why? Because Morocco awarded a penalty that Senegal thought was not fair. And then Mane, in his leadership capacity, went to the dressing room, urged the players to come back to the field, and then Morocco went ahead to lose that penalty. And then minutes later, Mane, or rather the Senegal team, won by a very brilliant goal. And that's how the game ended. Mike, maybe you'll need to, I don't know whether your panelists watched that game. They might need to say one word or two. I've never seen any game of that kind in my life. My name is Giva Sumaina. Mike Migwi.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Za kilimo, ufugaji, fursa za kibiashara, kuongeza thamani pamoja na teknolojia za kuboresha kilimo.
Ni chakula ambayo kwetu sisi inatuletea mapato mazuri, watoto wanasoma vizuri.
Mkulima kisasa inakupa maarifa, motisha na suluhu za kurahisisha mazao, kuongeza kipato na kulisha taifa kwa ujumla. Tazama Mkulima kila Jumamosi saa 10:30 ambapo kilimo na fursa zinapatikana. Mkulima, tuko hapa kwa ajili yako.
Hapa ndio Vitibi Hotel.
Wewe ukiangalia unaona kama ni hospitali.
Kwa nini unakuja na kuangamiza? Mbona ugongi mlango?
Nikiona mlango imefunguka nikaona unaangalia.
Toka nje.
Finally.
Staki.
Kwa sababu ya nini?
Itafika mahali tutawachana. Sika. Nipeleke wapi ya kazi gani? Si vizuri ati kungoja ati mtu akufe ndio ukuje uwekelee maua kwa kaburi yake. Matunge nini?
Inzi.
Endelea na shughuli zako sasa.
Rojo popo. Soso mama. Umatilaje hoteli inakaa hivi aje design hivi?
Kwani wewe unjui zaidi gazi romani wa online?
Mnafika online na bado brika yenu ni ya mabati.
What are you doing?
Lighting the lantern.
What's wrong with you?
Why are you mad at me? The lantern's of such poor quality, why blame me?
Did you quarrel with your wife again?
So what are you saying? We're doing fine.
Hey, I'm not sensible. Did you teach me how to be or teach me anything? Just a third wheel, right? Fine. Then I'll leave, okay?
Yo.
This is the clearest and most beautiful starry sky in the whole world.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Je, wewe ni mpenda soka? Na je, wajua kuwa KBC mwenzio wako wa dhati michezoni anakujali? Ndio maana KBC Channel 1 hukuletea taarifa na uchanganuzi wa soka.
Kafu ndio wamechukua usukani
humu nchini, barani Afrika na ugaibuni, ikiwemo EPL, Serie A, Bundesliga na ligi zingine. Mashabiki pia hutuzwa kwa kujibu maswali kuhusiana na soka.
Swali letu la leo.
Haya yote ni kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Dunda kwenye KBC Channel 1 kila Ijumaa kuanzia saa 5 asubuhi hadi saa 6:30 mchana.
Nawahimiza Wakenya waendelee ku-watch Dunda Dunda show.
KBC, mwenzio wa dhati michezoni.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe. I want us to look at the state of the nation, matters to do with politics, economy and social stability. A lot has happened over the weekend, as I had alluded earlier, and as you have seen on the news, including matters to do with ODM strife that is ongoing. But before we get into that, I want us to get to see what is reported on our local dailies. I'll be starting with the Star. Kenyans turn to digital loans and Shylocks to survive. tough economy. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. Oburu versus Winnie. Battle for ODM's soul intensifies. That is a story that talks about the matters to do with ODM, as I have said, and the ongoing tiff in that party. East Park boasts that is corruption thrives where checks and balances are weak. That story is told on page 6. Quoting Gen Z for 2027, inside Ruto, Kindiki plan to woo young people ahead of 2027. That is matters to do with the youth vote, and that story is told on page 9 of the Star newspaper. Let's look at what is being reported on the Daily Nation today. It's Odinga versus Oginga. Speakers at Kibra rally turn the heat on ODM officials crashing dissent contrary to Raila's ideals. Winnie Odinga, the daughter of a former Prime Minister and ODM leader Raila Odinga, who died last October, has criticized an ODM wing she accuses of seizing power, railroading decisions without consultations, and threatening critics with expulsion from the party. Winnie also defended ODM Secretary General, that is Edwin Sifuna, and Embakasi East MP Babu Owino, setting up a clash with party leader Oburu Oginga, who is her uncle. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Why Buddy KRA boats are in trouble. Late last year, the two ships with 55,000 tons of duty-free rice from India and Thailand docked at the port of Mombasa. The shipments worth about 6 billion shillings would not have attracted controversy were it not for a court order blocking grain imports. Read that story on page 3 of the Daily Nation. Kenyans still being lured into Russia war. When Rastas Nyale left Kenya last October, he believed he had secured a 6-month driving job in Russia that would finally ease his family's financial strain. That story is told on page 8. From KANU's fall to Gen Z's rise, factors shaping LSK elections. Read that story on page 7 of the Daily Nation, and also on the front page of the Standard. ODM rift explodes. Winnie Odinga has stormed back into ODM politics with a show of force that has rattled the party's new power center. Commanding a mammoth Kamukunji crowd, reminiscent of her late father's rallies, the Yala MP warned party bosses against unilateral decision and demanded a national delegates conference before any 2027 realignments. Her intervention sharply contrasts with smaller rival meetings led by party leader Oburu Oginga and exposes widening cracks as ODM weighs coalition talks with President Ruto's UDA. From Kibra to Kakamega, the party Raila built is now openly divided between unity calls, rebellion threats, and a high-stakes fight for its soul. That story is told on page 2 and 3 of the Standard newspaper. Let me introduce my guest for today, and on my immediate left is Mr. Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst. Thank you for making time.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
And also Peter Njeru, who is a political and economic analyst. Thank you for making time.
Good morning, Kenya.
Karibu sana. And also Wakili Frank Nyamari, who is an advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Let's start with what is making headline, and I'll start with matters to do with ODM. You know, the Standard reports about ODM rifts. ODM rift explodes. Matters to do with Winnie Odinga's yesterday's pronouncements, and especially she came out very strong and affirmed her support for both Sifuna and Babu, you know, who some section within that party are calling for ouster. Let me start with you, Musumbi. What do you make of all this, especially what is going on with ODM?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, after the demise of the ODM long-serving party leader, yes, Raila Amolo Odinga, may the Lord rest his soul in eternal peace, definitely the kind of cacophony we are seeing in the party had to happen. And in my view, it is just part of democracy. And the party is trying to find some semblance of synchrony. Yeah, looking at the young leaders led by Winnie Odinga, Sifuna, and Babu Owino, and of course the old guards led by the current party leader. And of course, in my very view, Oburu and Winnie, they are talking just the same thing. Only that the process at how they are going to achieve the coalition that is desirable between ODM and UDA, Oburu seems to approach it from the top-bottom, while Winnie Odinga is suggesting the bottom-up approach. Because Winnie Odinga, she's talking of, let us have the NDC.
Yes.
Yeah, let us listen to our people, let them tell us the way to go. But the Central Management Committee, led by Oburu, seems to have already taken a position that we are going to have talks with the UDA. And again, we need to understand that Winnie Odinga is the daddy's daughter, completely. In one of our interviews, you remember her talking of, you know, Winnie was born around 1990. And Raila Amolo Odinga launched his NDP sometimes in, was it around 93, 94, somewhere there, 94, 95. And she gave an interview talking about how the father drove a tractor to Kibra, carrying her as a young girl. And she was a little bit worried of so many guys walking next to the tractor, chanting songs of, she was talking of songs of war. She was a little bit worried, but the dad told her, don't worry, these are our people and they are doing the bid for us. So Winnie understands exactly the terrain of ODM politics, and she's actually doing it the right way. Not to rush too soon to join the government, but at least to build the party first against what Oburu is doing. So in my submissions are that Oburu and the young Winnie, they are talking of the same thing, only that they want to follow different routes. Yeah.
Peter, do you agree with that? And also, Musumbi talked about synchrony, but then again, there's the aspect of identity. What do you think is ailing ODM?
Just like my brother Innocent has observed, ODM is taking a normal trajectory, especially after the demise of the de facto party leader, Raila Odinga, and may his soul rest in peace.
Yes.
So what I see happening in ODM right now is a reflection of what's happening all over the world and even in our own country. It's a contest between the old versus the young. I slightly differ with what the Nation newspaper is headlining today, that it is Odinga versus Odinga. I do think it is the young versus the old. And this is more so being reflected by what is happening at ODM. It's not a family matter. It's actually a matter of national interest.
Yes.
I see Winnie Odinga and company agitating a worldview that is favored by the young generation of today. I also see the style of leadership that Oburu Odinga is providing being an agitation towards maintenance of the traditional style of leadership where authority or instructions come from top and trickle bottom. But Winnie says, no, we can do the bottom up, something similar to what President Ruto agitates for, bottom up model of leadership, where you seek the views of the people at the bottom of the pyramid, and at the top, when making decisions, you factor those views.
Yes.
And therefore, this isn't about Odinga's family. It is about matters of national interest. It is about what's happening between the old versus the young. It is also a replica of what we experienced back in 2024, when the young people felt they are left out in decision making and they went out to the streets. So what I want to also wade into this conversation I would want to also mention that this is also about succession management. Succession management in the sense that when the late Raila Odinga rested, he had not given a clear direction on who should inherit his throne. And we see, I did not speak clearly to the party what he wants, though there are various statements he had made that ODM has always been in government. Actually, not only in the current administration did we see Raila lead ODM into government, but into all other previous administrations. Raila has always, after losing election, he has always led his party into government. And actually, I think it's only ODM that has never missed being in power in government. So the story of succession management is something that every organization needs to respect and obey to avoid what we are seeing happening in ODM now, such that within the structure, there is need for pre-planning so that we know this has been clearly groomed by the leader to be able to wear that shoe in the event there is a vacancy. That piece was missing in ODM, where everybody, when you listen to Sifuna, there is what he believes, what he says the late Raila Odinga told him. When you listen to Babu Owino, there is what he says Raila Odinga wanted. When you listen to Winnie, there is what she believes Raila Odinga wanted. When you listen to the party leader, the brother to Raila, he has his own position about what Baba wanted. When you listen to the governor for Homa Bay, she has her own position concerning what Baba wanted. And Baba was one. Baba were not 7 people, and there are 7 positions. So this is a wake-up call to every organization, whether political, business, church, family, NGO, private company, to think more intentionally about managing succession to avoid the kind of conflict that you are seeing in ODM now. And it is also important to also accept as a reality that, especially in our politics in Africa, Kenya are not left out. Political parties are individualized. And therefore, when you study KANU, when Moi rested, KANU kind of went to oblivion. When you look at NRC, PNU, look at Jubilee, after the party leader has exited the active political stage, the party seems to lose relevance. It is the case with ODM now, that after the party leader has rested, then the party seems to be facing some headwinds. And it is not unusual. I am not surprised. But what I can pray for the party is that they can find a stable ground to be able to continue having the party align itself with the aspiration of the departed party leader, one and only Raila Odinga. And I know that each time since Raila entered politics, he started doing a merger with KANU, and he became the Secretary General of KANU. After that, he did a merger with Kibaki and became one of the very powerful ministers during Kibaki's administration. He became a co-principal with Uhuru Kenyatta during his administration, and now he led ODM to government and was working very closely with President Ruto. And this is something that cannot be controverted by any straight-thinking Kenyan, that Raila Odinga always wants his people and his party in government.
All right. Wakili, I want to get your sentiments on the same matter, and also, given what is going on within ODM, and now the negotiations between ODM and ODA, how do you see that affecting those pre-election negotiations?
Yeah, first of all, Mike, we must appreciate the role that ODM has played in the country as far as democracy is concerned for the past 20 years, ever since its inception. ODM has been the party where people are given opportunity to voice out their issues and be able to be heard. And sometimes we have seen that the party has embraced different views from different people, and that has seen it grow all that time. And that is what democracy means, that today they will disagree, tomorrow they will agree. Yesterday they disagreed and agreed at the same time. And so that is what democracy is. So what is happening in ODM, in as far as we have a void that is very difficult to be filled, that's the absence of the party leader, then we must appreciate that democracy demands that the things you see in ODM now have to happen. And the question, or rather the test for them is a test of character, to be able to see whether they will be able to sustain the kind of pressures that they are having within themselves, and be able to formulate a party that envisages the aspirations of the people, and at the same time envisages that idea that the departed leader had in mind. And that is the gap that needs to be bridged. Now, when you see young people like the likes of Winnie, Babu Owino, Senator Sifuna, and others, speaking the way they are speaking, ideally, the old folks will term that to be rebellion. But that is not rebellion. That is what it means to be growing in a party. And especially a party like ODM that has got a national outlook, a nationwide audience. Such things have to happen so that that party can grow. Now, the next step, or rather the next phase, is how they are going to handle that pressure for them to be able to enter into the general election in 2027 as a formidable force once again that has got what is called a bargaining power at the national table. That is what they need to look for. And I think that is what the party leaders, that is Oburu Odinga and even Winnie Odinga, they are looking for. They are looking for that bargaining power nationwide, such that in the event they are not in government, they find themselves in government. So the question is, how are they going to sustain that pressure, and how are they going to manage themselves as a party to be able to see that they have got a united front to be able to enter into the election and be able to come on the negotiation table as a party once again. It's a tough question to look at, but then I want to disagree with the journalists who wrote that it's Oginga versus Odinga, because that is a party that has got a national and even international recognition. It's not a family affair, as they are trying to put it. It's not Winnie Odinga versus his uncle, Oburu Odinga. It is what democracy demands, that there has to be those rifts, but then the character, or rather the test of character, comes when they need to manage it and come out as a formidable force to enter into an election, that is 2027 elections. Yeah.
And that also just pivots on matters to do with politics within the country, given that they have those UDA-ODM coalition talks. How do you think that would shape now the political center of gravity, especially when it comes to the build-up to 2027 general election? We have ODM and UDA talking about pre-election pacts. Then you look at what is happening within the united opposition. How do you think that is pulling the political center of gravity going into 2027?
Yeah, Migwi, looking at Kenya now and looking back to the recent history, especially since 2002 when President Moi Kibaki ramped through State House, our politics will always be galvanized in coalitions. And as we are looking towards 2027, we definitely see a coalition that will coalesce around President William Ruto, and another one that will be around the former impeached Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. And we can see in the broad-based government where we are having UDA, ODM, there is a deliberate effort to ensure that UDA first strengthens itself. That is why we are seeing the president now trying to make some more inroads into the Mount Kenya region. We have seen, quite a dramatic fall of events with some legislators, some senior party mandarins who are in DCP. They are crossing over back to UDA, and a lot is happening. So UDA is strengthening itself. ODM is also strengthening itself. We need to understand that ODM is grounded on being a party that is so pro-people, a party that agitates for the human rights, equality, inclusivity. So for ODM to maintain its constituency, it has to entrench itself and to ensure that it builds and enhances those ideals of being pro-people. On the other side, the united opposition, where Rigiji seems to be the honcho, and we are having Kalonzo Musyoka there and Wamalwa. Yeah, we are seeing they are also trying to build a coalition, though you can see, and this is where now our politics and Kenyans need to understand that when the president is talking about the bar of politics in Kenya has gone too high. Since 2022, the bar has really gone a little bit high because our politics are no longer again about personalities. Actually, after the demise of Raila Amolo Odinga, and that is the kind of balancing you are seeing in Nyanza, there are people who could not talk. They were completely, they were out of place. But now, without the cultic support of Raila Amolo Odinga, you can see people now are starting to talk. You saw William Oduol, the deputy governor for Siaya, yesterday at Kakamega, and he is now able to talk. Yes. You can see in Siaya, James Agri Orengo is getting a run for his money from the MP for Ugenya, David Ochieng. So with this cultic support and the tribal chieftains is slowly getting out of place. And the future of this nation, and that is what the united opposition needs to understand. You cannot win an election. You cannot galvanize people on some kind of tribal bigotry or some hatred rhetoric, or just saying Kasongo must go and one term. That cannot galvanize
sloganeering.
People. Yeah, sloganeering. So we need to understand that people must give their track record. If you were a member of parliament, if you are a governor, what have you done to people, to your people, for you to be able now to tell what I have done in the past, I will be able to reflect it in the future. Look at Ndindi Nyoro and look at what he is trying to project to the country. Ndindi Nyoro is not talking about his tribe. He is not talking about when he is opposing the government, he is opposing it on account of ideology, on the account of policies, and especially the economy. He's saying Kenya is not really aligned to the Singapore economics. We should look at South Korea, because that is where our country seems to have a parallel comparison. So this is the kind of politics we need going to the future. That our people, our leaders will be able now to sit down, give a succinct direction that this is what we need to do for our economy, this is what we need to do to our education for the country to be able to move forward. So as we move around 2027, the united opposition, you can see there's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of gaps, and they are not behaving as the government in waiting. They are not giving alternative leadership. So I think they'll need to pull up their socks for them to be able to give Kenyans direction.
Interesting interesting points, and we shall come back to that. But we are looking at the state of the nation. We'll come back to this after this short break. Stay with us.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women. We are really changing. We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement. When they are standing, we need to stand out. From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in their individual fields.
You have to have a vision. You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood on KBC TV for Dada's show.
Hapa ndio Vitibi Hotel.
Wewe ukiangalia unaona kama ni hospitali.
Kwa nini unakuja na kuangamiza? Mbona ugongi mlango?
Niliona mlango imefunguka nikaona unaangalia sana.
Toka nje.
Finally.
Staki.
Kwa sababu ya nini?
Itafika mahali tutawachana.
Sika. Nipeleke wapi ya kazi gani?
Si vizuri ati kungoja ati mtu akufe ndio ukuje uwekelee maua kwa kaburi yake. Matungie nini?
Inzi.
Endelea na shughuli zako sasa.
Rojo popo.
Ngoja ni.
Soso umatilaje hoteli inakaa hivi aje design hivi?
Kwani wewe unjui za hii gazi drama ni wa online?
Mnafika online na bado brika yenu ni ya mabati.
What are you doing?
Lighting the lantern.
What's wrong with you?
Why are you mad at me? The lantern's of such poor quality. Why blame me?
Did you quarrel with your wife again?
So what are you saying? We're doing fine.
Hey, I'm not sensible. Did you teach me how to be or teach me anything? Just a third wheel, right? Fine. Then I'll leave, okay?
Yo.
This is the clearest and most beautiful starry sky in the whole world.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. You're watching KBC Channel 1. We're looking at the state of the nation, politics, economy, and social stability. There's something that Musumbi said, and I want Njeru to chime in on that. The kind of politics that we are doing today, as he said, the bar has risen. Have we completely moved from personality politics, euphoric kind of politics, now gravitating towards issues more?
That's a very good point of conversation. Mm-hmm. And today we are biased towards ODM. Mm-hmm. And let me answer that question using ODM as a case study. The conflict in ODM that we see today is also not about the ordinary members of the party.
Yes.
It is about the personal interests of those eyeing various leadership position, political elective position within the party. And I would confidently say that the politics in ODM actually is Nairobi politics. Mm-hmm. When you look at the marriage between ODM and UDA, you realize that the coalition that is believed to be coming up, and rightfully so, will throw some ODM bigwigs into a level of confusion. Mm-hmm. For example, my MP, Honorable Babu Owino, is eyeing to contend with the current Nairobi Governor, Johnson Sakaja. And therefore, if and when this, not if, when this coalition becomes a reality, Johnson Sakaja being the incumbent, he's most likely going to be the candidate for the coalition to defend the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. And therefore, this throws Babu Owino's ambition into disarray. Number two, Sifuna, who is now the senator for Nairobi, is also aware that the tribe plays a key role in this party, in this election politics. And therefore, being the senator for Nairobi, under the same coalition with Johnson Sakaja, who is also a Luhya, that would mean that the position of Sifuna is to a large extent dented within the coalition. And so what I see Sifuna doing today is trying to bargain for accommodation into the bigger picture. I don't think he's fighting that merger or that coalition, but he's trying to say, hey guys, I'm here, see, I'm the senator, what are you planning for me? So he's doing a pre-bargain the hard way. And therefore, what is happening in ODM is not about the party interest, but the personal interest of respective camps is playing center stage. The victim in this fiasco, by virtue of age alignment, is Winnie Odinga, who is not so much deep into Nairobi politics, but into national politics, but somehow she gets sucked into the partisan affiliation within his father's camp. But of course, her ideology aligns itself with her peers, Babu Owino and Sifuna, because they are saying, why don't you try a bottom-up economic transformation agenda like it is in UDA, so that we listen to what the crowd is saying, and then we escalate that to the top. Whereas his uncle, who is the party leader, says that he knows what is good for the country, he knows what is good for the party, and is able to bargain hard so that the party is able to get its rightful space within that upcoming merger or coalition. So in essence, the politics of ODM, and it is the case with so many other political formations, is first and foremost personal interest, then members' interest second. And this now, I would want to open the eyes of every person who is a member of political party. And today we are looking into ODM because there's a lot going on there. They need to be very, very talk straight and say, we want the aspiration of our party to be factored within the broader conversation that is going on. Personal interest to be kept aside, but party interest, and which aligns with the party founder, the late Raila Odinga, to be factored in everything everybody agitates for. Thank you.
You know, Wakili, looking at the current political climate and what is going on, do you think from your perspective it's stabilizing the country, going towards unity, or fragmenting it further, now that we are heading into a political fever pitch towards 2027?
Yeah, before I delve further into that, the political realignments, you can never, especially if you remember the events of 2024 June, you cannot write off the Gen Z space and the power that they have. You will realize that tribal affiliations are coming to, let me say, they're dwindling. They're coming to an end, kind of. And even the politics that is being played by the young politicians, the likes of Babu Owino, Winnie Odinga, Edwin Sifuna, and others, even Ndindi Nyoro, they are not tribal per se. They are on ideology per se. That is something that you need to look at even as we move into 2027 and even as parties look to form coalitions, be it ODM, be it UDA, and be it the party for Rigathi Gachagua. They are looking for something that will not bring them out as tribal, but as ideological parties. Now, when that is the case, then it is important to note that going forward, the young tasks in this country are going to take center stage, and they are going to play a critical role in the formation of the next government. And whoever like we saw in the just concluded by-elections, whoever is going to win the bigger vote in terms of the youth will carry the day. So that is what we need to be careful with. And even going forward, the tribal realizations or realignments are coming to, they are being sidelined. If you come out and you speak the way you speak, let me give an example of the former deputy president. You speak the way you speak in a tribal tone, then you get a lot of criticism, and that dwindles your space in terms of what is coming going forward in 2027. Now, the political climate as it is, any person who does not resonate well with the people, any person, let me say, who does not cheat properly, that person will not carry the day. I hope you're getting it. And we saw this from the by-elections, that those who are able to cheat properly are the ones who carried the day. And this cheating is based on the young, or rather what people want to hear. And a majority of the voter, they are the youth. So you tell them what they want to hear, and actually that is what has been, you will be able to carry the day. So that is what I perceive to be the climate, or rather the political climate going forward. That if you are able to resonate well with the people, if you are able to tell them what they are, they want to hear, if you are able to show them that indeed it is possible, you will be able to carry the day. So there will be no difference between going in 2027 and what happened in 2022 as far as the president is concerned. Yes.
All right. There's a story that is carried on the front page of the Star, and this regards matters to do with the economy. And it says Kenyans turn to digital loans and Shylocks to survive tough economy. Report blames shrinking revenues, unemployment, and high cost of living. That story is told on page 4 and 5. Just to touch a little bit, households are running to digital lenders, Shylocks, and family members for loans to meet pressing New Year needs, avoiding commercial banks despite a decline in interest rates. This I will throw to you, Njeru, because you are both also an economist. What do you make of this? The fact that Kenyans are turning to digital loans and Shylocks to survive the ravages of economy?
Matters of economies are interesting to understand because in many occasions what informs these decisions are things that are bare and open.
Yes.
But the challenge is that most of us don't understand these dynamics. And the newspaper has done well to point out to that reality and also to point out to the reasons, the motivating factors to that trend. It has said that it is unemployment and shrinking revenues. Shrinking revenues is because of inflation, such that what you could buy with 1,000 shillings 2 years ago, the 1,000 shillings remains 1,000 shillings, but the things you could buy 2 years ago have reduced. Today you'd buy fewer items with the same amount of money. That is the effect of inflation. Inflation is not a Kenyan problem. Inflation is a global problem. Every day, every year, the power of money to buy reduces. And therefore, a smart person, what is supposed to do is not to cry about the inability of the 1,000 to afford the things that they could buy 2 years ago, is to think creatively about how to multiply the revenue streams so that if you were making 1,000 shillings in a day, start making 1,500 shillings per day. You increase productivity so that you can override the effect of inflation. If you don't do that, you become poorer year after year.
Yes.
The other reason that has been cited by that article is unemployment. Again, with the high rate of population growth, you expect so many things to increase. One of them is the rate of unemployment to go up because we are churning out more children from maternity wards every day than the jobs we are creating. Again, at the job market, we are creating fewer new jobs than the number of graduates that we are putting into the job market. And so the rate of unemployment increases day after day. And this is what the housing project by the current administration, this is the disease it seeks to cure, the disease of unemployment. The president has said it time without end, without number, that the motivation for the housing project is to create jobs for the youth. And indeed, with the thousands of house units being put up today, if you go to those sites this morning, you will find thousands of youth at work. Each person has some Kenya shillings in the pocket to buy unga, leo jioni. The other thing is about the flagship project, big infrastructure project being set up. When you go to all those projects, you find people working there. And therefore, this issue of unemployment is systematically going to be addressed by having such projects. But it may not be a long-term solution to the problem. The way to Singapore talks into the issue of being more industrialized, so that we attract more direct foreign investment. We encourage local investors to expand their factories and industries. And these are not just expanded businesses, they are jobs created. And so when we speak about the journey to Singapore, it is not about putting the almost 60 million people to an airplane and drop them at an airport in Singapore. It is about selling to us a dream that we can be better than where we are today. Pulling together as a nation, we can move from where we are currently, we can create more jobs for our people, we can have decent housing for our people, we can have better health care for our people, we can have better education system for our people, we can have those things that we see in the US, in China, in Singapore, and everywhere else. Even when Raila Odinga was talking about going to Canaan, he was not referring to taking all Kenyans to the promised land in Canaan, the land that is said to be flowing with milk and honey. And I can assure you, when the Israelites left Egypt into Canaan, when they landed into Canaan, they didn't find a land flowing with milk and honey. I don't think God cheated them, but the land was more productive than Egypt. The land had better rainfall pattern than in Egypt. The land would easily provide it for their daily upkeep than Egypt. It was not land of slavery, it was a promised land. So the fact that it was said to be a land flowing with milk and honey did not exactly mean that literally. It didn't mean they wakifungua tapu kwa Canaan, maziwa ndio inamwagika. But there were better opportunities for them than they had when they were in Egypt. There were better, rainfall, there were better housing, there were better roads. Things they could dream about when they were in Egypt, they found them in Canaan. So this is the same story. We will not literally go to Singapore, but we are painting a picture of excellence, a picture of better provision, a picture of success, a picture that every parent would want to dream for their children. And this is what President Ruto has for this country.
Okay, all right. Now, Musumbi, there's a report that was released by the Central Bank of Kenya and the Financial Sector Regulators Forum, and actually points out that 4 out of every 5 homes in Kenya are financially insecure, and which is why some of them are taking out pricey short-term loans to cater for their short-term needs. But is it something that we should be talking about today? Matters to do with high cost of living. It is a conversation that has been we've been having day in, day out. Is it prudent that we be talking about it at this time, and especially now that we are heading into a very active period within the elections?
Yeah, there's a little bit of inconsistency between our macro and our microeconomics, because today we are talking of how our shilling has gained strength against the dollar. In 2022, we were At 160, we have gone down to 120, 29, 128. We are talking of how inflation has gone down to almost 4.7.
Yes.
We are talking of our GDP growth to IMF is projecting at 5% now. So, but these kind of good data we are seeing, and the president is really projecting, especially during his State of Nation address, the common mwananchi is not feeling it. And we need to understand, as now the survey, that out of 5 families, four are within financially constrained.
Yes.
Yeah, that is true, and that is a feeling on the ground. And therefore, the government needs to do much more to the very common mwananchi. And I'm happy the government is doing something about it, because when you look at the recently launched NYOTA program, is kind of trying to address that, especially amongst our youths. And a lot needs to be done. And as my colleague here, Njero, has said, we need to look at what will put money in our people's pockets. And the issue of unemployment is just, you know, it's such a perennial problem, and it needs to be addressed. But how are we going to address unemployment to ensure that there are so many opportunities for our people to engage in, to be able to put money in their pockets? So let us look, how can we make Kenya the hub where foreign investors will come here in droves? And we need to first work on our infrastructure, and especially now on energy. Because as long as we don't have energy, energy which is affordable and which is accessible, we won't be able to industrialize this country and to invite and attract so many foreign investors. We need to look at why did the southeastern, what we call the Asian tigers, why did they develop? And you will find that they have developed with the Western money. So many Western companies. If you look at Apple today is doing a lot of manufacturing. A lot of his investment is in China, is in Taiwan, is in Vietnam, right? Why can't we make Kenya the hub where these big multinationals will come and invest here? And we have an opportunity, because look at the kind of foreign policy that President William Ruto has put in since 2022. You'll find like he has put Kenya at the top of Africa. And look at the kind of attraction the American government is having here in Kenya. We in the sub-Saharan Africa, we are the only country that enjoys a non-NATO ally status. You saw the kind of health agreement we signed with the U.S. government, despite the litigations that Kenyans are so fond of. And so Kenya seems to be like that wonderful bride that both the East and the West are trying to court. And I'm sure if we strategize ourselves, for example, we are having America investing a lot in Congo because of the presence of cobalt, copper, and the rare metals, which are so important for the AI manufacturing. Now, Kenya we must make ourselves the hub where those minerals, after getting them from Congo, here in Kenya, we are going now to add value to them. That is the kind of Kenya we need to make. And you can imagine if those multinationals, if we have Samsung here, if we have LG coming here, if we have, you know, Google investing here in Kenya, how many jobs are we going to have? What kind of GDP are we going to grow in Kenya? So these are the kind of things we need to think about for us to make Kenya a developed society, and to ensure now that our people, you see, look for example, how did China move almost a 3/4 of its population, 1.4 billion people, you know, around 800 million, around 1 billion people, from poverty levels to fast-lane life? It's because of strategic investment. Let us ensure that we have the best roads, we have the best airport, we have good you know, we have support in terms of energy. You know, and Kenya, we are very lucky because these renewable energy from geothermal, from the wind, from solar, you know, these are what many multinational companies are looking for. If Apple wants to invest in a country, they need to look at, do you have this renewable energy? Or as opposed to what China is doing, a lot of coal, a lot of things that are bringing about issues to do with climate change. So in Kenya, we have a lot that really, if we tap it, we'll be able to move this country forward.
All right. You know, we have the Singapore dream, Wakili. But then matters to do with economy, we've talked about them for quite some time. But then again, it narrows down to, how do we put money in the pocket of a Kenyan?
Yes, Mike. I will remind you of the things I've said here before. That in any nation, the things that happen therein, the direct things that affect the common person, are political driven. So if we don't have the right-minded people in the high offices, ideally we are screwed. Let me say we are screwed. Because if we get crooks in government, we will get nowhere as far as dreams which, for example, the Singapore dream, we will not get it realized. But I want to appreciate one thing that is happening in the country. That is the NYOTA initiative Nani has talked about. That it is helping Kenyans, especially the youth and women, to be able to get what we call business incentives, to be able to set up businesses so that money can flow directly into their pockets. And that was what was ideally meant for the Hustler Fund. That is what was being used as a campaign tool by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, in terms of when he's saying that every Kenyan will get 6,000 every month. That was the initiative. So the question is, how do you get money into people's pocket? The simple answer is that you need to put in place policies, you need to put in place infrastructure, you need to encourage a climate where you are able to attract foreigners to come and invest in your country. That will see to it that you create employment, you create job opportunities, you bring about an environment where business is able to thrive. So in the absence of a conducive political environment, in the absence of peaceful coexistence, even within ourselves, or even within with our neighbors, you will realize that it becomes difficult for any person to come outside and invest in Kenya. When you set up businesses in Kenya, for example, what happened in 2024 and 2025, we had political instability in terms of the Gen Z protests. When we see all that, then it becomes impossible, or rather difficult, to have people get money into their pockets, because their businesses, instead of thriving, they're being destroyed. Now, the other thing is the monster we call corruption within the government. Now, this corruption, you realize that when the president, for example, has put a very good program, there are those people who are just there. Their whole business is to just swindle money and eat, and ensure that that money does not get or perform its intended purpose. That is another monster that we need to deal with boldly as a country, to be able to see that whatever is allocated to go and do a specific work to enable Kenyans to be able to earn honestly is achieved. And that means that then we have to strengthen our structures as a country, be it the EACC, be it the IPOA, be it any state department that needs to perform its work. It needs to be empowered and be able to perform its work to perfection. That way, we can be able to see that money is coming into the people's pockets. We can borrow an example from Singapore, and I will want to share the sentiments of Ndindi Nyoro as he said that Singapore, we are not ready for it. It's a good dream. It's something wonderful. But indeed, we are not ready for it. Why are we not ready for it? It's because we have not created that structure. We have not encouraged that environment where things to do with transparency, accountability, easy flow of policies are not receptive. We have not accepted them. And by so doing, you realize that it derails, or rather it makes it difficult for us to be able to attract that incentive from, for example, a foreigner like Apple, as he said, Samsung, to come and invest in Kenya. We have to create that. We have to be ready for it by creating that environment where we are telling people, hey, look here. Here in Kenya, it's peaceful. Here in Kenya, it is easy and it is transparent. That once you come in, you'll be able to do your things, and we will get your what belongs to you, and we will also get what belongs to us. Number 3, finally, we have to be proactive. We have to be proactive in the sense that as we encourage foreigners to come to our country, then we must also be very aggressive and realistic with them. I say that because in as much as, yes, I accept that the president has made significant steps in ensuring that we get foreign aid for foreign investment, but then we must be very, very strategic and very, very aggressive, so that we need to compete with people like Rwanda in terms of the roads, the environment, how we present our incomes as a country, and how we manage them. That shows our aggressiveness where there is transparency and people are able to see this is what is happening.
All right.
Yeah.
2 seconds. Closing remarks.
Yes. Yeah, mine is we have a future Kenya, and we have a bright future. And if Kenyans, if we endear ourselves and remain cohesive, Kenya will move forward, because we have all what it takes to get to Singapore and even beyond.
Thank you. Jeru.
Yeah, so let me wade into that conversation as we close about putting money in the Kenyan pocket, the people of Kenya. I'll be very brief. And let me observe that the mistake of ages is that we have always talked about unemployment instead of talking about unproductivity. And therefore, we concoct a thinking that we have to be employed to be productive. And even when we talk about unemployment, we are saying the government must employ.
All right.
And it's not sustainable to think that everybody will work within the public service. And therefore, what we need to advocate for is productivity of our young people, so that they are made more productive. And this is what the government is doing through TVET.
Thank you.
And therefore, this is something that we all need to embrace, so that when you graduate, go and think about how you can be an employer actually.
Productivity.
Productivity. The other thing is about also thinking about food security, because a large chunk of our revenue goes to food provision. And this is what the president talked about. We need water, not rain.
All right. Acha tufikishe hapo kabla tutolewe onea. Wakili.
Yeah, the country is doing well, but then we need to ensure that there is things to do with transparency, so that we gain back the confidence of the common person in the kind of government that is there for the day.
Right.
Such is what is going to help the government be able to perform its function and also be able to fight the ills that are dragging it behind. So going forward, we need to see a country, or rather a people who are more idealistic and more oriented to
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first.
You have to do the impossible
Yes.
to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Well, good morning and thank you very much. You're on time for the Western Spectrum, a program that comes courtesy of KBC Good Morning Kenya every Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. of course, discussing issues that affect people and of course the life of people in this part of the country and to a large extent of course across the country. Today we'll be discussing something that has been on the lips of so many parents and Kenyans and stakeholders in the education sector in the last couple of weeks, and of course this is fueled by the fact that the country is witnessing for the very first time grade 10 students joining senior school, and some of the things that of course have been put in place to ensure that indeed they complete their studies as pathways, and the students of course were expected to, they were placed in different pathways. Of course we are talking about sciences, social sciences, but also we are talking about sports and arts, and that is our center of focus today. And of course to take us through that discussion today is the UPETA Executive Secretary Kisumu Branch, George Osura. Congratulations, you were just elected the other day. But of course also we have Professor Humphrey Obora, the Secretary General of World Talent Federation and of course Director of Gifts Africa Talent University, domiciled here in Kisumu. And I also remember that he's actually been a very vocal advocate of skills and talent from way back almost 2 decades ago, and he's actually the very first person in this country to actually start discussing issues of competence-based education in this country. Finally, of course, we have the system, but of course he'll be weighing in on a number of issues of what he feels should be done better, and how the system is going and moving forward, how we will in terms of just ensuring that indeed this whole scenario in terms of grade 10 are actually in a position to achieve their intended goals. So then, of course, I bring them into the equation, and welcome Professor, and also welcome George. Professor, we will start with you, and I'll just pick it up from the point that I spoke. For over 2 decades, you've actually been quite vocal about what needs to be done in terms of focusing more on skills and talent. Finally, of course, the country adopted that. In your own perspective, how do you think the system is actually faring on?
Well, in the beginning, when I talked about the difference between talent, competence, academics, they said I'm mad. They said I'm stupid. They said I'm fake.
Stupid is a strong word, bro.
Bogus. You check the internet. They sponsored the bloggers against me. You were there.
Yes.
I was all in the headlines of the newspaper for being a bogus professor. When I said my daughter can leave class 3 to Form 1, they said I'm stupid. I was stupid then. When I said a class 6 dropout can go and get a degree, particularly when I Wikibolo, you've forgotten. Ole Kores, Kajiado, remember when you guys did the stories? So it has turned the late Jirongo. When they got their degrees, you said I'm fake. They can't get degrees. How can a class 6 dropout get a degree?
Prof, some elements of your thoughts have actually been adopted, and the government is actually focusing on competence-based, and of course now in grade 10, we're actually now looking at sports and arts pathway. I mean, how then do we ensure that indeed, despite all, of course, the doubting Thomases in the first, where we are at now, how then do we ensure that indeed these students or learners that are actually in school can actually achieve what they're supposed to achieve?
Big question. The government of the Republic of Kenya cannot pretend that talent is competence. That's a lie. Competence, passion, interest are symptoms of innate abilities known as talent. Let's not lie to each other. There's a problem in the education sector, which went through a crisis, and we can only wait for a catastrophe. Wait. When I speak, then we analyze later. Let's not wait for later. We're walking into a catastrophe where we are wasting an entire generation. Let me ask you a question. Go ask the president. Go ask the Minister for Education. If you can teach competence in the Republic of Kenya, it's a laughing matter, the whole world. Tell me the tools and methods you are using to know that competence. But, you know, some things are not complicated, they're very simple. You can walk over to a hospital and tell the people that you can give medicine, you can give injection to patients without diagnosis. How do you know that competence? Kenya, can you teach competence? Let's start there. Then you tell me there'll be pathways. Hang on. When you want to make a pathway, you got to think. Whose pathway? Whose pathway? Is it for elephants? Is it for goats? Is it for ants? Do you know how to make that pathway? How the hell will you make the pathway, and for who? Then the confusion that talent is sport, talent is comedy, talent is music. Wrong. That's not the meaning of talent. Talent.
Prof, before you continue on the pathways, these learners have actually been taken through some sort of examination to determine what they are good at. One, do you want to tell me that that sort of examination is not competent enough to identify pathways for these learners, one? And then two, what exactly do you think needs to be put in place so that then we correctly identify pathways for these learners? And then lastly, do you feel that at the age at which some of these students are actually subjected to identification of pathway is still too early to actually identify a pathway for these students?
Let me tell you something. You know, if there are many methods of knowing a sickness, that people rely on their grandmothers. People walk over to chemist at the counter and say, nafikiri ni malaria. How can you use an examination to know competence? How can you use an examination to know a pathway? How foolish is it? In today's world, where we have tools and methods, and I will give you one, human anthropobiometry is one of them. We can today know the human metric values. Now I'm talking high levels of science, but bear with me. At about age 4, when the brain is in conformity with the rest of the body in the quantum form values. Sorry for the hard science. Today we can know those metric values which manifest into the human potential. And if you know the human potential, you can do extrapolation using algorithm. And therefore, if you give me a 4, 5, 6-year-old child today, I can tell you the potential of what you generally call career 20, 30 years in advance. That's science. That's a method. That's a tool. Don't just speak that you can know the talent. First you mix the word talent and competence. They're not the same. And then you say, oh, watoto wanapata Oh, let's be serious. We are talking science here. We are not talking general or statements here. You cannot lie to parents, because Kenyans were very used to this. Oh, so many vijana, then you shift the story, keep changing. The generations keep going. What's the waste? We already have mass of youth, but then they keep saying they're jobless. Why should they get a job? This nonsense. Humans were not built for jobs. Jobs were supposed to find them. How did it change? We have to understand that today we have tools and method and scientific and very professional to unearth the true metric values of people, and we can use those potentials to focus and know where to place money, time, and effort. Listen, a poor parent in the village is now selling cattle, selling land to take the son, take the daughter to school. And your promise as a government is that your child is going to find a pathway. then the pathways are mismatched because there's guesswork. Because if you have no tool or method, you're only guessing.
Prof, let's bring in...
George, as Prof says, that we need to have tools, methods, that will actually, scientific proven, right? That will actually identify some of these pathways and how best to ensure that kids can actually, or learners can actually follow certain pathways, right? Do you feel that, or do you think that we are in a position to actually give these learners a proper pathway based on the tools that we've actually provided in our learning institutions?
Thank you so much, Bwana Simon. I think I'm 7-day-old executive secretary of KUPPET.
Yes, congratulations.
Meaning by 10th I was a classroom teacher.
Yes.
And I'm a teacher at Njiko Boys High School. And I want to say that the CBE is a trend that had left. And currently we are receiving the grade 10. And our main core business now is what should we do? Are our people prepared? And that's why I realized you had a very good theme of the day. I've equally been a Secretary of Sport Kisumu County for the last 7 years. And I want to tell you today, as our students are reporting to school, to move into the path, what they call the path of arts and sports science, I want to tell you there's nothing going on. I want to tell you, many of the parents and even the students believed, Bwana Professor, that they're going to kick the balls, they're going to swim. And I believe that is not the truth. Because if you look at it keenly, this is an area that has got even a bigger view that you can even employ many, and even they can create more employment than any other. But if we continue moving the way we are moving, these people also suffered when they were in primary. And they are still suffering. Then I want to tell you, as Professor is saying, we are going to kill the whole world.
Okay. George
raised a very important point, that when we are being told that about arts and sports pathway, right? What we are visualizing is a student going into theaters and performing, right? We are visualizing a kid or a learner going into the sports field and kicking a ball or swinging a bat, or just something in the extent of sports, right? What exactly does it entail?
Bwana Simon, I want to tell you, even the people you call learned and the teachers are equally confused. They don't even know what's going on. Professor, I believe you can bear me witness. Today, as I speak to you, there are only 2 textbooks that have arrived in schools. That is English and physics. That's for the grade 10. I've told you clearly, I've been a teacher for long. And I'm a beneficiary of trained teacher at the diploma first before I did my degree. And I'm privileged that I did some sporting activities in college, meaning I'm the one who did PE, meaning I would be the best person to now implement the arts and sports pathway. But I want to tell you, the people who did even the degree without the diploma part of it, the PE, they're blank. So I look at it, and I don't see future for these our kids.
Do we have the right personnel at our institution?
On Friday, the CEO of TAC, Evelina Mutei, indeed came out strongly and said that parents are worried,
stakeholders in the sector are worried that probably we don't have the personnel. We have not retooled the personnel in terms of ensuring that they can actually handle these learning areas. Do you have the personnel? Because you've been in the classes, as you said. You've actually been also a sports secretary in Kisumu County, and you are now executive secretary for KUPPET. Do you think we actually have the personnel to take our learners through this system?
First, allow me to take it so that you understand exactly what's going on in the schools. One, you know, we have what we call the compulsory subjects. Whether you're going to do arts and sports, they are compulsory subjects, of which one of them is English. There is Kiswahili stroked with the sign language. We have core subjects, which is mathematics and essential mathematics. Then we have also what we call the community service learning. So those are 4. So whether you're doing arts and sports, you must do the mathematics part of it. Then now we have what we call approved clusters. Like we have theater and film. That's a subject that they must do if they're doing arts and sports. We have music. We have music there. We have fine arts. Now, when you look at it, I personally come from a school which is called C2. One of the oldest schools in Kenya, NYOTA Boys High School, which has produced so many people. But if you go there, there's only one music teacher. Now we are talking about grade 10. By the other day, they had admitted almost 300 students. There is one music teacher. If you look at it, who is this who's going to teach them about theater and film? Do they have the personnel? They don't have. And I was surprised today. I was calling very in the morning because we had informed me I was to come here. And I was asking one of the day schools around, which does not have any teacher apart from the 8 basic subjects. And he was telling me they are doing arts and sports. You wonder what they are going to do. You wonder. There is serious problem when you come to what we call personnel. And the TSC and the Ministry of Education should face it directly without hiding so that they employ teachers. But again, are those teachers available? How many are produced? Professor knows very well how many teachers are produced in the university to go and teach. They are not there. So me, I see a generation being killed, and our parents must come out in arms and tell the government, the president directly, that things are not working.
One of the things that, of course, we'll need to discuss in before, of course, I bring in Prof again, is the issue of facilities. I just spoke to the Secretary General, Kenya Secondary School Sports Association, Secretary General of the Nyanza region, Thomas. And Thomas tells me that, 1, we don't have facilities, 2, we lack personnel, and the personnel that is actually available now on the ground is what they've actually put, tried to ad hoc in terms of small or very short training courses. So then we'll discuss that. However, Prof, you have, in your presentation, you said that one of the things that we really lack is the tools to actually ensure that we are in a position first to identify correctly what Simon needs to do or what Prof will actually be doing in the next 20 or so years, right? How then do we move from where we are at in terms of ensuring that some of these schools, because some of these schools lack basics, including even just electricity, how then do we move from where we are at to first and foremost identify the basics before we move to the next level where we are at now?
When I was with Professor, the late Douglas Odhiambo, with whom we started this way back in the early 2000s, we developed a Lego framework. I keep seeing it on my laptop. Before those fellows at KIE.
Why are you not sharing?
Why should I share?
Sharing is caring.
Well, we were there with them at KIE during the Odhiambo Commission, and we sat, we did. If you come to my university, they'll be unveiled soon, the Talent University. Here, Nyamasaria. We have Professor Douglas Odhiambo tree under which deliberations were going on. You guys don't know where these whole things you are talking, CBC. If you want to know where your problem is, please look at the history. The mistakes happened there. What happened? We had KIE, we had a committee. And the guys said, Jaduong, hii idea yako ni mzuri sana. They were telling me. Sasa we kaa nyuma. Sasa unajua vile serikali inaendelea. Sasa wewe chukua 5 strong days kufundisha hii kitu. Eh? I look at them. Been researching over 10 years. This guy wants to be a doctor in 5 days. He went to put the doctor behind. I left. Douglas followed me here. You need to understand what happened. Hizi problems tuongea saa hizi zilikuwa lazima zikue. Because the mistake happened. Some of them became PSS, some of them became directors of education because of a lie to President Uhuru Kenyatta. The legal framework, the architectural design is not what you see here. This is wrong. This is a lie. CBC even was not on the table. There was nothing called CBC. What we're looking for was infusing quality matrices in the learning process. Look at the document to realign the Kenyan constitution with education. Look at the terms given to Professor Douglas Odhiambo. What are these things we're talking? CBC, pathways, nonsense. Kenya is a joke. This is a stolen.
Prof will need to check on our language. Even young learners are watching.
Sorry.
Yes.
But there is something which went wrong in the education system at that moment. I was doing something with the direct education. People thought the ideas are good, but then what they did, they tried to steal the idea. So when I refused, they were saying I'm fake and bogus. And through the whole process, what is supposed to be TBL, talent-based learning, because of the royalty on the T, they said you need to understand what they did. It was a simple, just like recently, upon CBC ifanye, okay, rename CBE, semantics. There's a problem in the Republic of Kenya who is managing education. Then where is the philosophy? Where is the architectural design? Because most things that we're talking here are only hinged on philosophy and the architectural design. Question one, how can you force talent into academics? Simple philosophy. It can't work. How then do you bring such a model to a developing country like Kenya? Because the architectural structure requires that you consider, one, how simple is it? This is a developing country. How simple is it? It might be as simple as a granny taking care of a granddaughter in Tana River can't understand the hang of what goes on in there. That was principle one. Principle two, how affordable is it? This is the other things we're talking, ukenda Turkana, ukenda, these are things we looked at. And the architecture plan of the document, we do still, I see it in my laptop. This is a developing country. Is it affordable? Is it? No. Thirdly, and this is crucial, how futuristic. We prepare kids today, they got to compete with others at international level in the future, not now. If you look at the tenets of all that, does it fit what you call CBC? No, because they stole the architectural plan and thought the building looked too good. So they went and built it in a quicksand. Now it's cracking. It's falling apart. So they're throwing names, tuweke junior secondary wapi, which is the pathway.
One of the, of course, that is what we will need to discuss, because you've rightly put it that we will need to look at the entire plan in its total, so that then we actually come up with something that is beneficial to the learners and, of course, also the stakeholders involved. So we'll take a short break, but when we come back, of course, we'll be discussing about one. Of course, you've already said that it is not a walk in the park in terms of just deciding that this is where elephants will be passing, this is where lions will be passing, and this is where rabbits will be passing. Of course, it takes more to it, right? And of course, we'll also be discussing availability of our resources at the very institutions that then we move to the next level. Of course, we take a short break. Of course, when we're coming back, of course, we still have a professor and George, who will, of course, be delving deeper into the issues of education in this country. Thank you.
Hapa ndio VTB Hotel. Wewe ukiangalia unaona kama ni hospitali.
Kwa nini unakuja na kuangamiza? Mbona ugongi mlango?
Niliona mlango imefunguka nikaona unaangalia.
Toka nje.
Finally.
Staki.
Kwa sababu ya nini?
Itafika mahali tutawachana.
Seka. Nipeleke wapi ya kazi gani?
Si vizuri ati kungoja ati mtu akufe ndio ukuje uwekele maua kwa kaburi yake. Matungie nini?
Inzi.
Endelea na shughuli zako sasa.
Rojo popo.
Ngoja ni.
Soso mama. Umatilaje hoteli inakaa hivi aje design hivi?
Kwani wewe unjui za hii gazi drama ni wa online?
Mnafika online na bado brika yenu ni ya mabati.
Kaya musha.
It is always a good time on Bridge over Congo.
Catch us every Saturday from 10 p.m. till midnight.
Join me, the Rumba Supreme Leader, the Grand Ayatollah Simeon Mfumo Kimbango, and
Winnie Marie Jose, Bridge over Congo.
Mungu esilakana nzungu te kasielenge Mungu esilakana.
Chumvi huyeyuka chunguni lakini ladha yake hubakia.
What are you doing?
Lighting the lantern.
What's wrong with you?
Why are you mad at me? The lantern's of such poor quality, why blame me?
Did you quarrel with your wife again? So what are you saying? We're doing fine.
Hey, I'm not sensible. Did you teach me how to be or teach me anything? Just a third wheel, right? Fine. Then I'll leave, okay?
This is the clearest and most beautiful starry sky in the whole world.
Back, still heated, just like before we went for that short break, of course, Professor still holding a very strong position on exactly what he thinks needs to be done by the line departments in terms of ensuring that this CBE actually works. George, one of the areas that you've actually been whispering in my ear off air was the fact that there was need for a pilot project first, so that then stakeholders in the sector are actually aligned on what is needed before we actually move into the next step of full-scale rollout. I mean, why so?
You know, when you pilot, you will identify the good parts and the bad parts, then you make corrections and you improve on other areas. But you know, when you do it with the whole number of students around, the pupils around, then there is a high chance that the personnel are not going to be enough. And once the personnel is not enough, then automatically you can't get a good product. And that's why I felt at the initial stage that this thing was to be piloted.
Yeah. You've actually alluded to the fact that looking at the whole system in a very simplistic manner, that we are looking at it as just kicking the ball in the fields and, playing around, and not looking at it as a very big sector that can actually offer employment opportunities, but also can actually just build our learners into very, useful people in the community.
Yeah, it's true. You know, if you look at the clusters that they have been approved by the ministry, like when we talk about music and dance, you know, if you look at that cluster, somebody will just think that it's a matter of just singing and people are just dancing.
Or content creation.
Yeah. But you see, it requires a lot. People who are in the university, they know how to create. They know we have got some stages in the production of music, and even the shooting part of it comes in, so that these people are in a process, so that at the end of the day, they can be marketable, they can be people who can entertain others, and you know that is self-employment. So when you look at it in that direction, then you will realize that we first needed personnel in the schools. Without the personnel, then these things cannot work. It is true that teachers can improvise, but you know you can only improvise the things that you have learned. If I'm a mathematics teacher, if they take me to go and teach German, it is not possible. Even if you give me notes, I cannot teach it because I don't know it. So the same is happening to the teachers. The teachers are in fact suffering. I want to tell you today. You know, as a teacher, your conscience is very clear. You want to give the very best. But when you don't have the content, what do? The kids are also in school.
A parent sitting at home, coders actually sitting at home and watching this, will be worried because the government says that they have retooled a number of teachers in terms of just ensuring that they are well capacitated to take care of these learners in the specific learning areas. You are saying that we don't have personnel, we don't have, facilities, we don't have the technical know-how. I mean, what exactly, where exactly are we?
You know, retooling was done. Retooling was done, and it has been done twice. But I want to tell you today, when you go for retooling and you do it for 5 days, and you know you are not retooled on specific issues. Yes. It is a general retooling on how you are going to teach in class and the rest. But look at it now that you are in a school and you are the only, there is music. These sports you are coming, there is music. You want to teach them music, how will you manage? That's why you will get teachers dancing, and I know it will be online, teachers just singing and dancing, and people think that's a lesson going on for 40 minutes.
Before you go to Prof, we already have this meal on our table. As you say, the stew that is supposed to ensure that this meal is actually consumed properly is very limited, right? How then do we ensure that, that we can actually navigate through the situation we find ourselves in? We have one teacher in Onjiko Secondary School, right? How then do we move to the next level in terms of ensuring that by the time we are closing this term, or by the close of this year, this academic year, then our students have, if not halfway, they actually almost 3/4 way in terms of realizing what they need to ensure that they can actually go through those learning areas?
You know, the first two, we don't have a bigger problem. When we talk about STEM and we have the social science, there is no big problem because most of those teachers know what to do.
And that is why we are focusing on the sports. And
but this one I'm now telling, for the government to achieve what they want, now they have no choice. First, let them bring the books in school. That's number one. Because those teachers seated there, me included, we don't know the content. So let them first bring the books.
George,
once the books are there...
You are making it look bad. You are supposed to teach. You're supposed to teach, yet you don't know what you're supposed to be teaching.
That's the reality. Professor, that's the reality. I'm talking as a teacher because on 10th I was in classroom.
Yes.
So meaning I've been there and I know. And I'm a science teacher and I've told you clearly, I teach mathematics and chemistry. And I did PE because I first did my diploma before doing my degree. So meaning I have a lot of experience in this. Yes. And I've been a teacher for 19 years. So when I say there are no books, it is true. You can confirm there is only physics and English books for grade 10 at the moment. Meaning the teachers don't know what to do. And even the timetable, you know, there should be a timetable sample. They have not been given to date. They don't know the timetable sample, know what to do, because they don't even know what to plot in the timetable. So the parents should be aware, for the last 2 weeks, their kids have been doing nothing. That's the reality.
To your institution sometimes back, and we saw the process through which you identify the competence of a learner. And in fact, you took us through the first step in terms of taking biometrics, and then of course taking through that machine, and then eventually identifying and saying that this person is most likely in the next 10 or so years likely to follow this pathway in terms of sports and academics, right? I saw it. And I'm looking at that machine and asking myself that given the situation that we are in as a country, do you think that the thought of actually even just rolling this system into motion is punching way above our weight?
You know, last October, two young men underwent this new one.
The one that went to Barcelona?
Barcelona.
Yes.
In the past, they used to send scouts for sports. Today's world, they don't send scouts. They look at the metric values because it has been found scouting is very subjective. Just like in Kenya, nafikiri anaweza fanya hii na macho.
And can be compromised.
Self-diagnosis.
Let me ask you a question. A young girl is taken to one of the public universities to do music. Let's say, what, miujiza amepita. In the first semester, the girl now learns the tools of the internet, sings to the heavens, the voice of the angels, and posts on YouTube, earns 80 million views in one day. President Donald Trump invites her to sing at his birthday. And the teacher is still reminding her she has not done her assignment, she has not done her cards. But the teacher has not even sung at the birthday of the local chief. So, now, I want you to just think, who should teach you who? You know, there is what we call innate, unique and rare abilities of humans. You saw me, that boy I discovered who sing from the occipital lobe of the hippocampus at the back of the brain. The one you can blindfold and still raise the Bible and raise the newspaper. You remember that boy in Churchill? The other one in Eldred that was not eating. The mother was complaining so much. And today, you know, he's in Israel, courtesy of the assessment. Is a wine coffee taster. In your mind, do you believe that one should go through a curriculum? And which one? Do you understand we had an architectural plan? What do you do with those ones? It is not surprising to me that today the Republic of Kenya is facing this problem because we foresaw it. Because their mind is so grounded in academics that they can't see anything else. Smell the new coffee. Today, learning is no longer in the classroom. Learning is adventure. Learning is expression. Learning is innate. It's a different, whole world different. And when you do that, then you can see the simplicity. And the multiplier effect is that therefore the Tana River grandmother can now smell that new coffee. If you see it simple, if you see it affordable, if you see it futuristic, but that requires a learning diagnosis. And this is what we said again and again. But then their mind is stuck in academics. There must be a syllabus, there must be a tutor, there must be an exam. Even if they pretend there's no exam. Wanaenda round mwisho, ukitaka kwenda mkwenda msie, ni mtihani. This is Kenya.
Yes.
And I still have that document. I shared a letter to the presidency. I tried to reach everyone near the president when President Ruto came in. And people shared it even very widely. I know you saw it. That one of the things they needed to do is to ensure that we don't continue wasting this generation. Teachers ought to do what they were taught to do and what they know. And there's a value and there's place for academics. Because it's one of the ways of enhancing development. But then we have to separate that from the human innate potential. And therefore the thin line between them is called the learning diagnosis and the related learning prescription. Need to understand what those means. And then we got the cement between which are known as the Italian Rigo scales. Quotation marks. One day we'll analyze what those mean. And we define them in the document. You know? Human potential is very, very unique and ought to be seen in a different manner. Unless you have the human prescription, even twins are not the same, then you'll find what to do with the learning process. Unfortunately, Mzungu ambaye atuletea learning hafanyi hiyo. You know, it's us who are fighting this. Do you know the meaning of education? It's actually an outcome of slavery. Some of us are still enslaved there. When Mzungu came, we were learning in our own ways. It was innate. The Mzungu akakuja, if I am a supervisor I must supervise these people whether it's raining or scorching sun. So, mimi ni koloni too. How then do I make sure I still supervise them, they still do what I want without me there? So it brought you a syllabus. This is a Muzungu business. They don't do what you're doing here.
Bro, you have alluded to the point that we are stuck in the colonial era in terms of education. One of my nephews, Wesley, Wesley says that our education has not evolved. What continues to evolve is the jobs, the demands and everything. However, education, especially in this country, has stuck at a point where we must be in class, where a tutor must stand in front of you, where a tutor must ask questions, and where a tutor must subject you to a certain exams before grading you. Whereas he argues that, of course, as you say, the human potential is diverse, right? And you're saying that now, that there's need for us to transform our learning process, our education system, into an adventurous affair than what we used to do. Do you feel that that the more we stay behind, the more we remain in the colonial era, the more we actually continue to lose generations?
You know, if we are in another country, this cannot go this long. I'll be honest about it. But because our parents don't know their rights, and because we're gullible, we can absorb anything. Wewe mwenyewe ni mzazi, unajua vizuri sana, in your neighborhood, degree holders are riding motorcycles. Degree holders, ni uongo ama ni ukweli? Uliuza shamba, uliuza ng'ombe, kupeleka mtu asome hadi degree, akuje aendeshe pikipiki, nduzi. Nani wengi.
But Prof, the essence of going to not basically, I mean, getting employed. It is, you go to school to expand your knowledge on various issues. You go to school to, I mean, understand how the world works. And then based on that education, you can actually make your life better, right? So then, those that have decided, and this has been my argument in the office for a very long time, right? If you have done communication, it does not necessarily mean that you must be sitting here and hosting this show, that you must be, I mean, the other side doing something, right? Communication is supposed to help you to navigate through so many other things, right? If you have done another subject, it only builds your knowledge in that specific field to make you a better person, to make you different from a person who's not gone to school, right? Yeah. So then when you look at it as I have gone to the university and I have come back to be and do the write-up, then that is so simplistic, Prof.
Let me ask you a question. Must you have gone to do a whole degree to come back and ride a motorcycle? Really, those skills would have been done differently. That's why we say there must be a prescription for you. You see, you don't need to do unnecessary things. And remember, you don't just do it. It costs money, costs time. Mzazi muuza ng'ombe, my friend, na shamba. Wewe unasema, hey, you just have to have skills. Kwa ng'ombe, kwa land.
Probably, Prof, what we need to do is to change the mind. And also the students.
I'm not going to anybody's mindset.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, wewe ni mzazi na kuongelesha, say, I'm talking. You know too well. Your neighbor's children are riding a motorcycle and having degrees. Na mzazi ana shamba, aliuza ng'ombe. Wewe unauza ingine. Peleka pale, arudi hapo. Are you normal? These are a truth. Systems, institutions, countries are built by the people. You have to know what is working and not working.
But Prof, that speaks to personal. Because as a person, when you go to school, because I've seen people who've not gone to school, but they're very good business people, right? Right in the villages. I've also seen people who've actually gone to school and come back, and all they talk about is that I was better than professor in class. So the question boils down on our very own attitude. Mwalimu, George, in class, as Prof says, we actually stuck in calibrating our students towards getting a good job in future. Is it time then that we change the narrative to a situation whereby, yes, we are impacting these skills, but it is on you to actually ensure that you develop and blossom into something that is more attractive in the community than just saying that I was a teacher and I'm going to remain a teacher forever?
You know what I know, my brother? As teachers, we have really tried to talk to our students so that they can understand, that they become job creators. But I want to tell you, it is not realistic to them. Maybe one or two can go in that direction. But majority, as they grow knowing very well the government is going to give them employment. And you will hear our presidents, as they campaign, even the MPs, we are going to provide jobs. So if a president has said they are going to provide jobs, what do you expect from a teacher who is in classroom, who is striking to be given more salary?
George, does it come out of a mentality of being given to a mentality of creation? Because governments are supposed to create conducive environments. Conducive environments for Prof to, start his gift and talent academy and ensure that it flourishes into what's supposed to be. He's supposed to, the government is supposed to provide a platform where if you are, you want to become the General Secretary of Kupet in Kisumu County, you can actually achieve those standards, right? And if we're expecting that the government is actually going to give us jobs, then we're actually missing the point, Professor.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
I've lived long enough.
Yes.
And I have no other job I've done. I want to be a teacher.
You actually teach?
Yeah. And I didn't give up. I put up the first talent university in Africa.
Yes.
I'm still the World Talent Federation Secretary, and I've brought in 29 anthropobiometric kids in Africa.
You're going back to your potential because you have actually come up with an institution.
Yeah.
There are those that have actually went to school and have stuck in that class forever, and they will retire holding that piece of chalk.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Because that is a situation not all of us can manage.
Exactly.
That's
human
normal.
potential. Yes.
That's very normal. The only thing I'm asking, after all this knowledge, after all this experience, why are we stuck in there? Why are we stuck with Muzungu thing called academics, while the Muzungu himself does not do that? Why are we stuck? Why is something not working and you're still doing it again and again? Because I keep asking, you are a parent. You saw your neighbor sell land, sell cattle, son, daughter, go get a degree. Amerudi, anaendesha nduthi na wala wajaenda. Na sio moja, sio mbili.
Sell the very piece of land.
Then you are also, I want to understand, you need to get this. Then, I've seen this, but I'm also now selling mine and selling again to join them. Where's the problem? Number two, you are a government because parents probably have no choice. Wewe ni serikali. Unajua vizuri. That one does not understand where learning is going. And learning is the heartbeat of the nation. Na unamweka pale, haendeshe mambo ya learning na ajui. What do you expect? Why must we as Kenyans, forget about Africans, do the wrong things even if it is hurting us? Why must we do things wrongly? Because it is truth that...
Prof, because you've said that you have you are the CBC, CBE, and you actually have a clear vision. Probably some of our people who have the technical know-how of actually to run these things have decided to stay, at the backside and decide that, we will not share this, or if we must share, then we must be on the table sitting with them.
You know, from my experience, when I was from KI and Chiromulen, you have to have a lot of thick skin to do what is right in Kenya. Because I didn't understand. For what even themselves they said, this is a good thing. My only problems were two. I'm Luo. That was the first statement. Number two, I was not connected. And I'm still not. So a basic person who has the right ideas cannot be put at the platform. I'm happy that you thought about me to be in this. Some people can listen to me and get this. But I repeat to the parents who are suffering today, you are told that there will be a pathway. There's no longer a pathway. There's a battlefield for which school. Oh, nana path gani? Wazao wanang'ang'ania shule.
Yes.
Hey, see, great shule, see, shule. Hey, that same old thing.
And of course, even the learners and their parents that have actually struggled to just change schools. I know of a colleague whose son was supposed to come to Njiko, but he's ended up in another school. I'll not mention the name, right? Yes, and that of course speaks to what Professor is saying, that it is a battlefield towards a certain direction.
Yeah.
It's no longer just a pathway.
Yeah. So we do have a problem. I've changed my mind, and we might bring a landmark legal redress in this country, because the rights of parents, the rights of children have been abused. And that speaks to the law, that speaks to the Constitution. If you said that you'll give quality education, we have quality. If we talk about education that is meaningful, is it meaningful? This is written. If we used education as political tool, as a lie, if it was plagiarized, because we have a bus that went without the engine, this is called CBC. The engine is still with me. I know what the engine is.
Release the engine, Prof.
None. For free. For the people who plagiarized,
yes,
and who call me foolish, and who call me a fake, and who say DALC is fake, and then just give them. Really? You expect me to do that? I've grown up. Let's sit on the table and agree the terms of how we do that. A parent that sees me on this television station today must know they have a right, and that children do also have rights. It is not enough to take your child to school.
Exactly.
It is enough to invest in what you can anticipate and have results. It's not good enough to take a child with a lot of money and come back and have a new burden. The government of the Republic of Kenya owes an apology to these parents for making them sacrifice for almost nothing. And even when you tell us the structure of education in Kenya, and you are a teacher, you know it.
It's true.
It's about selection.
It is.
How is even the exam structured? What percentage is selected to go to university? Then they tell you, you know, nowadays there's a new talk, the way I used to talk. Hata ukipata D ama D masi mbaya. Unapembelezwa.
You can still do something.
Which is no problem. No, that's true. Yeah. But they have selected.
Because that is what you've been.
Wait. Lakini wale wameselektiwa. Wale wameenda. Mungu yuko. So let's be honest that wale unaambia papasa hapa, Mungu yuko. Be real with them, because there's nothing for them. However, because they have human potential, and this happened to some of them, especially my journalists kama nyinyi. Wengi wenu hawategemei shule. I know one friend of mine who is now big in Citizen. He used to take photos at Uhuru Park in Nairobi. He used to post. The citizen didn't go for his qualifications. They went for his talent. This happened. But why don't we, as a country, as a government, understand that this kind of thing can be formalized, enhanced, and made to work? It only has one solution. If you're a parent, know one thing. You have the rights over your child more than the government. And that right, you can exercise it this way. Number one, know your child. Who is your child? Apart from academics, apart from grades, apart from marks. Who is your child? When you know your child, then you know where to put your money, time, and effort. How you reap that is up to you. But make sure you put your money, time, and effort in what truly your child is. At the bottom of that is human diagnosis. Leta mtoto apimwe. Let's diagnose the true potentials of your child. Then begin from there. Then you'll make sense out of your investment.
Fantastic.
Don't rush.
Just as we conclude,
Yes.
1 minute, George, we already in this, we have already discussed the issues that we wanted to discuss. How then do we move forward? Just in conclusion, 1 minute. So then also give Professor 1 minute and then we conclude because time is not on our side.
Bwana Simon, I want to tell the government to move with speed and ensure they rescue the child. If they don't do that, we are going to be in chaos. Number one, let them bring the books to the schools. Number two, let them do what we call proper retooling of the teachers, as they also ensure more are trained in the universities. I know there is a policy in the TSC that for you to teach a subject, you must have done it in high school and gotten a specific grade. I want to tell them, those teachers are not there who did theater and film. Let them allow the teachers to train in the clusters that they have approved without necessarily having done them in the KCSE.
Fantastic.
That would be a solution.
Prof, in conclusion, 1 minute, please.
You're a young person watching me this day, and you're not been assessed for your potentials. Then you're not different from somebody swimming in the ocean without a destination. If you're a parent who is selling his land and cattle tonight to send your child to school and your son has not been assessed for his potential or her potential, then you're not different from a businessman investing in a business he has no idea about. If you're the government or teachers and you're pretending to teach people into pathways that you don't understand, then you're not very different from a doctor who provides the injection to a patient without any diagnosis. Thank you.
Fantastic. Of course, that is Professor Bora, ensuring that indeed encouraging learners to understand what exactly they want, but more importantly, parents to learn their kids, ensure that they know what their kids are good at and not actually imposing what they want on their children. But very important point from George, that indeed we need facilities, we need personnel, and we need equipment in our learning institutions, so then indeed our learners can pursue these so-called pathways. Of course, we've had very interesting comments from our viewers, and of course they're telling us, Thomas, the Secretary General of Nyanza Sports Secondary School Sports Association, saying that all said and done, the government will need to ensure that they provide resources to trainer teachers in those specific subjects, but also provide facilities for students so that then they can actually pursue these talents to the best of their ability. Of course, these are conversations that will continue on our social media platforms at Achola Simon, on all social media platforms, but also at KBC Channel 1. But also you can also follow and have conversation around this particular conversation on Mayenga FM digital platforms, and also all our social media platform. Of course, on behalf of each and every person who actually made this possible, I'll start by, of course, our camera operators, Martin Kivuti. We also have Kibe Nyamatiko. We have our Mayenga reporter from Kisumu County, Philip Miyawa, and also have our logistic person, Stephen Omnyini, and our producer, Vincent Achola. It's a thank you, and also we will not forget the management of this facility, Mirage Palace Hotel, who continue to give us this space, so then we can actually have this conversation every Monday from 8 to 9. I take you back to Broadcasting House as we head straight to for the particular that Nyayo project being initiated by the president in Nairobi.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement.
When they are standing, we need to stand out.
From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in their individual fields.
You have to have a vision.
You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood on KBC TV for Dada's show.
Hapa ndio Vitibi Hotel. Ukiangalia unaona kama ni hospitali.
Kwa nini unakuja na kuangameza? Mbona ugongi mlango?
Niliona mlango imefunguka nikaona unaangalia.
Toka nje.
Finally.
Staki.
Kwa sababu ya nini?
Itafika mahali tutawachana.
Sika. Nipeleke wapi ya kazi gani?
Si vizuri ati kungoja ati mtu akufe ndio ukuje uwekele maua kwa kaburi yake. Matungie nini?
Inzi.
Endelea na shughuli zako sasa.
Rojo popo.
Ngoja ni.
Soso umatilaje hoteli inakaa hivi aje design hivi?
Kwani wewe unjui za hii gazi drama ni wa online?
Mnafika online na bado brika yenu ni ya mabati.
What are you doing?
Lighting the lantern.
What's wrong with you?
Why are you mad at me? The lantern's of such poor quality, why blame me?
Did you quarrel with your wife again?
So what are you saying? We're doing fine.
Hey, I'm not sensible. Did you teach me how to be or teach me anything? Just a third wheel, right? Fine. Then I'll leave, okay?
This is the clearest and most beautiful starry sky in the whole world.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Hapa ndio VTB Hotel.
Ukiangalia unaona kama ni hospitali.
Kwa nini unakuja na kugonga meza? Mbona ugongi mlango?
Niliona mlango imefunguka nikaona unaangalia.
Toka nje.
Finally.
Staki.
Kwa sababu ya nini?
Itafika mahali tutawachana.
Sika. Nipeleke wapi ya kazi gani? Si vizuri ati kungoja ati mtu akufe ndio ukuje uwekelee maua kwa kaburi yake. Matunge nini?
Inzi.
Endelea na shughuli zako sasa.
Rojo popo. Soso mama. Umatilaje hoteli inakaa hivi aje design hivi?
Kwani wewe unjui za hii gazi romani wa online?
Mnafika online na bado brika yenu ni ya mabati.
You are right in time for Family Check right here on Good Morning Kenya, and our conversation is on relationships, yes, but we are asking what is the impact of social media on relationships. That is the conversation we'll be having this morning, and I'm pleased to have with me in studio, I have Nelly Mutai. Nelly Mutai is a multimedia creative and an actress. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And then we also have William Deche. William is a psychologist. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have the both of you on set. Let's talk about social media and relationships. First of all, how has social media changed relationships now, from your point of view?
Well, social media has both advantages and disadvantages whenever we are considering its impact to a relationship. First of all, communication has been much more easier, especially from a long distance point of view. You can imagine your sister, your brother, or your loved one in Denmark. It's easier for you to shoot a text or a WhatsApp and have a chat. There are also significant tools in ensuring that you're able to share photos, away from having the old school albums being placed there and making it hard to share it. Now, as much as those advantages are there, the disadvantages are equally heavy. First of all, it's the dependency on emotional validation from social media, especially the techniques or mechanisms that are there, the like button, that ensures that you constantly have to post. So you can have maybe 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. If this goes missing, then there's anxiety that takes off and you start questioning yourself. And that's where your self-worth deteriorates greatly. There's also the unavailability of emotional cues. Now, imagine in a family setup, everyone's in the sitting room having their dinner, and your son or your daughter tries to catch your attention and you're stuck on the screen.
On the screen, yeah.
Now, what this does, it weakens the support system, the family support system, because once I'm not emotionally there, that's it. I feel thrown out, I feel lost. This goes the same way to the kids. Parents get really frustrated. And I think that's where there's always been a focus on kids and social media, but not parents and social media. And also there's the whole factor of the ideal self. Social media sells to us what the ideal self could look like. And we strive so hard to attain that factor. But reality is we're not all the same. Experiences are unique.
That's true.
And now you could have any person in a relationship posting how they're progressing, how they're going, but that's their story. What are we able to pick from that? What are we able to learn and thrive from that? That's not the question we focus on. We only focus on, oh my gosh, I really wish I could be like this guys. Why does my boyfriend not do this? Or my girlfriend not do this? Why doesn't she buy me a bouquet of flowers or something like that? So expectations shoot very high. And that's where the strain in the relationship takes place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well put. Nelly, from your point of view, how has it, changed how relationships are viewed now?
I feel like, just like he said, social media has its positives and its negatives. Of course, communication is made easier. You can video call, you can easily shoot a text and stuff like that. But let me concentrate on the negative part. I feel like right now...
Actually, just love it. Let me concentrate on the negative part.
Let me speak about it. Especially the comparison part. I feel like one of the major negative effects of social media is comparison. I feel like comparison is the theft of joy. Like we get to feel like you know how like you've gone to school together, you're now adults, you're like, now Vivian is getting married, why am I not getting married? Oh, Vivian is getting flowers, she recently got a new car. You know, now you could be in a romantic relationship that is doing very well, but because you're comparing your experience with someone else, so you feel like yours is little, yours is not enough. So it just brings pressure to the relationship because you feel like now your man is not enough, your woman is not enough, because the other person is at a different, they're having children, we're not having children. You know, they have gone for vacation in Dubai, we have never gone to Mombasa. So now you're comparing your experience with someone else, then it makes you feel little. So it brings pressure to the real relationship. Yeah.
I get you on that, and Valentine's is quickly approaching. So we are about to get into that comparison.
Pressure. Sometimes it's really unfair, because now you want to see what is this one doing on Valentine's Day? Where are they being taken to for Valentine's Day? Yes, I agree with you. A lot of pressure.
Would you say that relationships were healthier on social media? Or is it just, or there's no difference really?
I feel like social media doesn't bring the problem, it just amplifies. Like the real problem is still there. You know, like if I'm not receiving flowers, I already know I'm not receiving flowers and I'm not happy about it. But then again, I'm on social media and Mary has received flowers. Now I feel bad. Why does Mary have to receive flowers and I'm not receiving? So it's not social media that has brought the problem. The problem was still there, but now it's amplified. Because now you get to get to that platform and see it, and it's not just Mary, it's Jen, it's someone else, they're getting a car. So it's so much pressure because now you're comparing yourself to the experience. But then again, doesn't mean that social media created the problem. The problem was still there. You get? Yeah.
Yeah. So, from a point of view, were relationships healthier back then?
I think
or you go with what Nelly say, social media has not brought about any problem. It's just that it's amplified.
Maybe the problems that were there.
I think it's a little bit of both. There's amplification and there's a cause. Now, when we talk about amplification, we need to consider the fact that there are unaddressed issues within the relationship, first of all. Let's say like emotional unavailability during that time period, and you tend to drift away into the social media space and think, wow, this looks really good. I should have more than this. However, we do not consider the fact that there is that unique that is more, that unique bit that is more, that is there, that is not being addressed. There's also a factor of social media being a cause, a key cause of the problem. Because when you look at it, there's a lot of need to find that validation. And the mechanisms in social media are there to attribute to that and to increase that factor. And it causes a huge problem. because now once you're constantly on machine mode, validation, it triggers the whole factor of lasting or addiction towards the fact that you need to be at a certain stage to ensure that a certain audience are watching. Yeah.
Would you say it encourages
disposable relationships? I mean, because now there's options, you know, when you're on social media, you see a lot of options. Unakutana na type yako, unakutana tena na type ingine yako, you know, and you're already in a relationship. So does this make relationships easily disposable because you're like, okay, I think this one is not working, so I can just easily get someone else because there's options. It's easier for you. There's online dating nowadays. You can just get into an online dating app and swipe.
Yeah, I feel like it has made it really easy. You know, back in the day, men used to walk for long. Unapata amepata msichana mzuri, akona mtaa ingine huko, they will walk all the way. Like, there was so much effort. Yeah. But I feel like right now you don't have to put so much effort to get a girl or to get a guy. Sliding in the DM is like less than a second. Hi, beautiful. Yeah. So it's very easy to get a girl, to start a conversation, you know, that can lead to something. It's much more easier than back in the day. Yeah.
So is it making it easily disposable?
Yes. I feel like nowadays people don't even like value relationships as much as they did back in the day. Like today you can be with the Mary, by Friday I'm with the Jane.
Yeah. From a man's perspective, you know, what's your take on the same? You know, back then, as Nelly would say, it was kind of a bit of a hassle for you to get this person. So even you leaving the relationship and letting it go would have been much harder, because now, by the time you now find Jane, you know, it's quite something. You used to actually throw, you know, unatupa mawe ndo ajue uko around, kisha gonga their roof, they know, oh, so and so is around. But nowadays it's just a DM away. I can DM this one and send to many.
Well, I feel it's a little bit of both again. Yeah. I feel there's a significant balance there. Well, when our parents struggled constantly in finding that significant mate, it gave them the obligation, the responsibility that I need to stick into this relationship because I've struggled. And also their expectations from parents and the people at home. However, a little bit of positive there, because when you think about it, there's the whole aspect of freedom that is there. I don't need to stick into a relationship that is straining. You know, if I identify a red flag, am I willing to stay there, or am I willing to work my way through that? So it gives you that freedom that you don't have to be constrained on an oppressive setup. You can jump from one point to another. However, to many individuals, they have a tendency of misusing that idea. And they will simply have the narrative of what is a red flag, not really understanding the real picture of a red flag. Some would build the narrative of a red flag from just 3 charts, which is amusing. But it's a positive and negative, because once you understand there are certain setups a person has, like wording, you get to understand, single wording. But at the same time, that becomes a problem, because people are unique. You can't categorize everyone into one box. I might be single wording because that's how I communicate. And that's how I flourish through my process. And that's something we can build in a long-term relationship.
So it's coming between commitment, you know, and people committing to long-term relationships, kind of. Yeah. Now there's that other side where one, you know, shares their relationship online, you know, whereby now you've decided this is your contact, not contact, my content. So my content is me and my husband, or me and my boyfriend, or me and my husband and children. This is our content. There's that aspect now of relationships and social media. From your point of view, what's your take on that?
Personally, I'm not for that kind of arrangement, but I've seen it on social media a lot, and it has its positives and its negatives. To the audience, we get to experience how you guys go about your day. You know, we get to connect with you. So them as content, they get to build a brand and an audience, which can also help them earn money, because nowadays we've seen how brands work. They could get, you know, families to advertise things for them and things like that. But on the negative, which is a bit toxic, the audience gets to feel entitled to you as a family and your content. Let's say you don't post your husband for 2 days. They will be asking, are they still together? We haven't seen the dad. Oh, we haven't seen this. I've even seen cases where, like, you have a favorite child. You post this child more than this child. So I feel like it's a very tricky situation as a family, because yeah, it just brings a lot of conflict that is not even necessary in the first place. But then again, if the risk is worth it, good for them.
Yeah.
I totally agree with what Nelly's pointing out. There's an erosion of boundaries within the family or relationship setup, because now you have to post. You're telling a story. If you're telling a story, you need to be consistent with it. And with that consistency, you find yourself digging your pit deeper into the facts of an reality that is toxic. It's confusing, and it brings the whole idea that you're spreading the same toxicity to the other people, because once you're constantly having to post about a certain child, once you're constantly having to post about a certain person, you find yourself putting a line or a boundary within your family, and you're putting the audience as those who can dictate the narration of your family's process or progress, or your relationship's progress. So kind of like giving the audience the role of God. Yeah,
because now when that's your content and you have invited us into your house, now the people watching this content feel entitled.
They are.
Like, we feel like we are part of this family. So every nitty-gritty we need to know about it, which I find really interesting. Okay, I mean, I might just have decided this is what I want to do. I want to just show people how we live on a day-to-day. I want to be showing, you know, to be doing these vlogs. I think there's a thin line between, well, it's healthy and not healthy, but at the same time, if this is what you do and this is what is making you money, you just show us what you want to show us. But
it's just like business. So it's like a risk you take. And those are the kind of consequences that can come. So if you feel like it's important for your family to create content, if you guys are earning from it or something of the sort, then it could be a risk worth taking. But I always feel bad for the children, because I usually feel like they didn't sign up for such. And like, as they grow, I feel like it's something that might affect them, maybe in school, maybe, you know, just themselves. I've seen so many children being exposed on social media. Like, even right now, if I'm in the streets, I can identify them, because I've seen them, you know, so much. And I usually feel like, for the children, I'm not for it. But for the adults, if they know what they're getting themselves into, then, you know, it's okay. It's a risk they can.
I feel like that's actually a whole other conversation when it comes to children and social media, because now I meet with this child or you know, somewhere at a mall, and I'm saying hi to this child like I know them, you know, and I can imagine just how that may feel for the child, because they're like, oh, who is this? Because they don't know you, but you know them from social media. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation when it comes to that. But now, you know, I'm still on, you know, couples who are willing to share their journey online. I am sure that you are aware of the talk of social media right now. There's this couple from America who are darling to many. They were popular. Now they've broken up. The lady has, you know, filed for divorce and all of that. And now the conversations around just as you're saying, people feel really entitled. So they start saying, oh, we had seen, you know, we already could tell this or that. I don't know. that part where people really get into your lives like that, you know, and also just tend to assume that marriage doesn't work, because that's the narrative online now. You know, with such popular people breaking up, then it's like, we told you guys, this thing's called relationship, this thing called marriage. Kwa kina ndoa ni kunoma.
I know.
You know, so there's that part as well. Yeah.
Well, I concur greatly, because as I said, social media has its roles to play in projecting the ideal self. Therefore, it will romanticize facts. So it will feel like you're watching a telenovela. 1 minute, oh, Andrew was dating so-and-so. Oh, they've broken up. I knew it, you know. And it really drags us back to the whole fact of boundaries. Allow me to break it down. Boundaries, there are 3 types of boundaries. The rigid, which is the insecure based. Porous, which I'd like to phrase it as people-pleasing based. You let too much in, too much out. So you give out so much information that people don't need to know. And then there's the healthy, where there's a assertive type of approach. Now, what I feel is, as much as we are portraying a relationship outside, we need to establish a tight, private relationship behind the cameras. And once we are narrating a story, we need to be more realistic on the approaches that we go through as human beings. Realistic, not in the perspective of overly romanticizing situations, but stating it straight, or stating it to the fact. Now, I'm not a film buff in any way, but I do believe there was often a romanticizing of African perspectives of poverty by the European colonial setup that was there. And it's carried itself to the present to a greater degree, because now we get to see the whole cinematic projection of what life is, what my house looks like, and so on and so forth, that we forget that we are selling an idea to the people. Now, what we can do is, there was also the making of pre-colonial films, on where individuals would put out how people would cook, people would do such and such, and the actual struggles of war and poverty. This is something we can project into our day-to-day relationships. And social media, putting it out there. By the way, today, it's been difficult, this and this, but you know what? One day at a time. Let's keep going. Let's try our best. Let's narrate to the people that perfectionism is never guaranteed from an aspect of humanity. We are mortal. We can never be guaranteed to be perfect. So why are we selling such an idea to the people?
And that is what social media sells, perfection. Because I won't show you when I'm struggling. When you go to my social media, trust that you're just seeing this perfect person all through. I get that. Now, there's also the point where it seems like we're selling more of separations online than relationships that are working. So when you get online, most times it's just, you know, like it's not working. Like marriages are not working, relationships are not working. Is it that the good ones, you know, the people who are in these good relationships are not open to showing them? Where is the problem really?
I feel like negative sells. I feel like when people are breaking up, you know, when people are fighting, such a post will get more views than if it's just you and your husband, you know, on a vacation somewhere. I feel like there's so many working relationships on social media. I have seen them myself, working marriages on social media, but they're not given as much airtime as when people are breaking up. I just feel like people thrive in chaos, and I don't know. I feel like people thrive in, you know, when people are in problems and fighting, and maybe it just makes them feel good about themselves, you know? Because I feel like negatives usually sells more than... We've even seen when celebrities do this kiki, they will do something that is obviously negative in most times, and it will get the attention of people than when they, you know, say they've bought a car. You get, so I feel like it's just like human nature. When there is chaos, you know, it catches our attention, and that's why you get to see like more of the bad part of relationships. I feel like there are many working relationships on social media and even offline. Relationships that are working and thriving, people that have been together for many years. You know, there's another time someone took a video at the AGs, and she was like, every day people are talking about how marriage, everyone is getting married here, and it's a lot of people. So marriages are still there, people are in relationships, but then again, we thrive in what is negative, but the positive ones are there as well.
So they're actually working, they're there, it's just that probably they're not on there showing, you know, that this is how things are working for us. We are going on just fine. I feel like most people in relationships that are thriving are not on social media showing us that they are thriving. Maybe because they don't want many people in their business. Because now when everyone starts getting into your business, all of a sudden, hide my ID. I saw to you.
I usually find it petty when someone says they haven't followed their husband. They didn't like this. They didn't post on their birthday. They're like, oh my God, you have so much time.
So honestly speaking, social media has really, really impacted relationships now, and how dating is happening and so on, right? You would agree to that?
Totally. Also, I think I'll mirror what she said. There's commodifying the whole fact of an idea, having to let people know that chaos is there, and it's attracting their attention, you know, because once there's chaos, as she's pointed out, there's attention. People are like, haya, kumefanyika nini, and so on and so forth. But I feel the patterns should be different. Yes, there could be a moment of chaos, but what if we could condition it to the perspective of, yes, there's a point of chaos, but we can always grow. As things are demolished, growth can also take place. We can narrate a story that as much as we feel that chaos is at the moment, and we relate better to it, we can also talk about healing after chaos and how the progress can be. And that can really cause an upbringing in more healthier patterns, in more progressive patterns. Unlike just fixating on the chaos and then going around it and around it and around it. And we are conditioned to focus on that. We learn. We are species who imitate certain factors, and we tend to lie in that imitation for so long.
Now, you know, as we almost come to a conclusion of our conversation, how can we ensure that we are using social media to strengthen our relationships rather than destroying them?
I feel like we should not use social media for validation, especially in relationships. I feel like you can't be on social media and it doesn't go to the toxic part, you know. I feel like also as a couple, you shouldn't share everything. There should be boundaries to, you know, the kind of things you guys post. You don't have to open up your relationship to the world in that essence. Like, you know how when couples are having conflict and then they're on social media discussing it, I feel like they open up, you know, something really big, everyone's opinion, and it just amplifies the whole thing. Something that they could have solved offline very easily now becomes something really big. So I feel like you should have boundaries on what you can post on social media, the kind of things you can do, the kind of things you guys can share. You know, each couple will have their own way of doing it, but they should have that conversation. I feel as a couple we should have that conversation so that we don't have like conflict because, oh, you didn't post me on my birthday, oh, you didn't post me, I don't know what, you know. I feel like couples should have conversations and boundaries on what they can share about their relationship.
Actually, you've talked about that and something just came to mind. I've remembered I think there's a people's court on TikTok.
There is.
A Kenyan people's court whereby you get on TikTok lives to talk about your issues. It's like a court. So there's someone who's a moderator, and now you come in. I was astonished actually, because I'm like, what do you mean? You are a whole couple, like you are a couple and you're having issues, and now you've come online and you have a moderator, and it's live for everyone in the entire world to just come in and listen to your problems, and you mnatusiana, and I was just like, wow, it's a lot. So, well, yeah, as you're saying, we just look at ways in which we can make it, you know, much better, have decorum in some of these things. I don't think it's really healthy for you to have your linen, you know, out in the public. And that time you also have children, and there are things you're saying about your partner that are really, really sensitive. And these are things that your children will come to see, because, you know, online is online. It never forgets. Whatever is there and was saved will be there for the longest. Yeah, so your point on how we can strengthen, you know, instead of destroying.
I think first of all is addressing issues that haven't been addressed within the relationship first. And the simplest first step, start with therapy. Go to a counselor or psychologist, go talk about it. The difference between a therapy room and people's court is you go into a therapy room, you talk about your issues, a counselor will mediate it and carry you through the process. And it's not a one-day thing. It takes time. We are everywhere. As psychologists, we are willing to help in regards to progressing you to go through each step at a time. But many people tend to be swerved into the dark hole of the social media, and where you go on and talk about, so-and-so, he did this, imagine, he wet his bed, and he's gone, and he's telling me I'm not worth it. Okay, you've talked about it, but where's the resolve at the end of the day? Was it worth it?
Then what?
Yeah, because now, 1 million people now know that so-and-so wets his bed. Something that should be a relationship secret. Or so-and-so has nightmares at night. She mentioned about children in their relationship. Imagine going to school and like, so you still have nightmares? And I'm like, wow. Yeah, so first with addressing issues. Second, acknowledge that imperfection is an inevitable factor. You're going to mess up, whether you like it or not. You're human. Let's not focus too much on fear of messing up. If we embrace that, if we embrace our mortality as human beings, we can progress quite better and much greater in raising children who are able to express themselves without the utilization of social media and a wider audience. Yeah.
All right, and that is where we are going to end this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on this. I believe it was an impactful one, and you were able to pick a thing or two from it. My name is Vivian Degwa. See you tomorrow, same time and place, God willing. Goodbye.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,